Hi, welcome to the Boardcast, everyone. Today might have been a later upload for everyone, but if I did everything correctly, there should have been an intro song.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. Episode 20, I wanted to celebrate by finally getting this thing that we keep talking about, an intro, like little tune, little jig, finally in.
So if there's not an intro song, does that mean that people can message you directly and complain there isn't one?
If there isn't an intro song, you can complain to me. That means something happened, I screwed up, and oopsies. This
if you pay for Patreon Premium, you can get...
Patreon Premium, we've upgraded.
So you made a decision on the song that you want?
No. Okay. That's why it's going to be just like every single one of our episodes.
Is this like a DLC?
So it's kind of like when you buy running shoes, expensive running shoes, to make yourself run. Because you're like, I've spent the money now. So now that you've said it, you've put it out into the universe. You're going to have to like.
You exactly describe what happened when I bought my running shoes.
Yes, it's
you too, William. Did you also buy shoes thinking you're going to run?
I did run.
Yeah.
Oh, see, he's the fit one.
Are you a runner? Are you doing running?
I used to. Yeah, I do marathons.
Why do we learn something new about you every day?
Yeah, until my knee gave up.
Every single week.
I go into these episodes with an episode for the pod, like a podcast topic in mind for the episode. And then William says something completely off track. And now I don't care anymore. Now I know, what do you mean by a marathon runner?
Well, I used to run a lot.
Yeah, of course. It's a marathon.
We know he rides a bike.
Okay.
And now we know he's done marathons.
Yeah. And he used to race
Have you done a
cars.
triathlon?
No, I can't swim. No, I can swim, but I can't swim.
How young were you when you ran marathon?
Oh, it's not too long ago. Like maybe I still can run, but I just can't run
like a HBF run for like a reason.
I just can't run like full marathons again because like my knee is just very clicky now.
When I was in high school and younger, like through most of school, I did a lot of like long distance running, and I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But there was a kid called Ethan at my primary school, and he ran in the Olympics for Australia.
What the heck?
Yeah. So we at all of our long distance competitions, it would be like just a competition to whoever came second, because Ethan would beat us all by like nearly 30 or 40 minutes.
Damn.
And then he was like
30 or 40 minutes.
Yeah, it was.
Dude, he was fast.
It was proper insane. Yeah, he trained every single day,
yeah.
And he ended up running in the Australian Olympics team. Yeah,
you should shoot.
So we had literally zero chance. Like, but it was for all the rest of us who as kids were like the silver was the goal. The gold was outside of our reach.
Probably like the teacher's like, again, Ethan.
So I won year 5, year 6, and year 7. I won my school's like sports boy award. Like I was like the thing. Yeah.
Can't give it to Ethan because he's already an Olympian.
Well, I could. Well, he won the long distance, but I won all the sprints and all the other stuff, like long jump and stuff like that. All right. But on my year 7 one, they gave me my medal. It was at Queen's Rocks Primary School. Got a big golden medal, and as I'm standing there, getting the award, they give me the medal to put it on me, and the vice principal's like doing a little like speech for the rest of the day. A bird flies over and it shits down and it hits me in the nose, and then the shit goes all down on my front of my chest and all through the medal. So it was like, how the sports medals have like that the wreath that goes around the middle of the medal. All the bird poo was like coated all in the middle of the wreath, and I had to get wet wipes and like clean.
This is like typical. You watch those American like those teenage drama,
like a comedy bullshit.
Yeah, and this is like the loser always get like trash, right?
That's like Ethan like training a bird to set you up. You had a mastermind
He's
plot.
like, I should get that medal.
Well, it was if there's a like Australian saying that says like if you get pooped on by a bird, it's good luck. And like I don't know.
Is that the case?
I think it's because
I've been pooped on a bird before, and it didn't feel like good luck, man.
I think it's because the chance is quite low that you're going to get pooped on.
Depends which bird.
Yeah, a lot of things are low chance. You can get hit by a piano falling from the sky. It doesn't mean it's good luck.
Well, everyone was telling me that I had really good luck, but I didn't even feel that good luck when I was covered in actual bird.
Yeah, that was your moment.
Wait. Hold on. So go back to
back on track. Introduction song.
Sorry.
How are we feeling for like what type of like music do we want? I know me and Danny, we kind of like the hip hop vibe. I want like a little hip hoppy jazzy.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like a little jazz, little hip hop.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody
listening
wants to
in on the podcast. You would have already heard the tune, so now we're just going retroactive. Oh, yeah, exactly right.
Right.
Because listening in, they would have heard at the beginning.
Surprises.
Do you think we just like we straight up like play? I don't know, like a Kanye West song and just wait for them to send us a cease and desist.
That's a how long we set up for disaster, right?
Yeah, but they have to send us a cease and desist. As long as
I can maybe look up like what's the maximum amount of time I can put a licensed song in.
I think it's 3 seconds.
But what's the point? And what if like
it's just a part of
you just take 3 seconds from a bunch of different songs and you put them together?
Have you
it's like our podcast.
See like YouTube, right? They do the copyright strike, and then sometimes your whole video just goes silent. You can't even see it. You can just see the video, but you can't hear anything. It could be us.
Ooh,
that could be us. Just the whole podcast is 2 hours, is nothing.
Wow.
Wait, imagine if we got the same amount of listens on the silent podcast as we do the verbal podcast.
We just do that every day.
We just know it's our friends helping support us rather than actually many people listening in for wanting to listen.
Ooh.
Legit.
I wonder how many people are here every single week listening because they like us as people and not because our podcast is
I wonder
good.
if we should, like, somewhere in the middle of a podcast, we just say, hey, if we've gotten this far in the comment section, type this, and then we know you've gone this far.
Yeah, somewhere in between,
Secret
like
contract.
messages like a secret word. Like,
Yeah.
to win a pack of M&Ms.
So
Message this.
I will
Wow.
give 100%. If you say the word platypus, you message me personally on my Facebook the word platypus, I will give you a pack of M&Ms.
Still credit.
Dead set. No, dead set. I will 100% do it. It costs us what, $13 for a box of M&Ms. I will give you a pack of M&Ms each per person. 100%. Send it in.
But it's just the starting of the podcast.
It's more about it's a realistic track of who's listening.
Okay, fair.
M&Ms.
I wonder if the
With
ADHD
peanuts
is going to
in it.
hit, and then you wake up the next morning not knowing why people are sending you the word platypus.
No, we can get. I think we can get a crate of like. I think it's a pack of 12 for $13.
All right, deal.
I will give out M&Ms to
Wait.
every listener. I'll mail them to you. I'm committed.
Following up on last week's podcast, Danny, how are we doing for our Patreon subscribers?
Well, I would like to do a special thank you to Colm. Colm, who has signed up to our Patreon, and also Colm, whose beer I'm drinking right now.
Oh.
Thank
Hold
you.
on, I got a
Big
bun
yak.
for this.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd like to thank Colm. I'm both drinking his beer and taking his money, so that's very appreciative, my man. Normally it's Nem, our business partner, and
resident
friend.
alcoholic.
Yeah, who's stealing the beers out of the fridge, but tonight it's me. I have drunk an entire bottle of wine. You can see it over there, boys. It was posted in our very excellent Patreon chat just a little bit earlier. I thought it was 18 standard drinks, but it's only 8. So I'm a little bit less buzzed than I thought I was going to be.
It's funny in my head because that means you were planning for 18 drinks.
I was planning for 18 drinks. I was.
So this is the buzzed podcast,
Wait, hold on.
right? I'm unequipped. I'm unarmed. I should get a drink right now.
All right.
You should. I thought you were. I thought you said you were going to do it.
I don't know.
Hold on.
I lost track.
Come back again. What about our tour for Patreon?
Oh, I'm committed. This week, last week, I worked 17 hours,
Right.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I didn't do it Friday because I was dying.
Okay.
Monday, I worked 17 hours. Tuesday, I worked 15 hours.
Yeah.
Wednesday, it was a little bit more chill because I got to come in here to the club, so I only worked like 13 or whatever.
Yep.
But this weekend, I will begin. I've actually made a little list of things I want to do to talk about, and I've been. I stayed back here last night till 2 a.m. to come up with some ideas of where I want this to begin.
All right.
That's why this morning I was a little late to work. It's okay. I slept in till about 8 o'clock, which is good. So I'm actually feeling pretty good right now.
So
Full sleep.
listeners, if you want to watch this premium content, sign up for a Patreon.
Are we going to post the videos into the actual Patreon? Is that
Yeah.
a good way to do it, or do we put it in the chat of the Facebook or the Discord that we've got?
Well, just put it in Patreon so you know it's like for
You visit
subscribers.
each Patreon member and show it them on your phone.
You know how like when they message me for the M&Ms, I will also put in a USB drive with the video on the USB drive so they can plug it into their computer. I can put it onto a Blu-ray disc. So do you know? I don't know if you know right now.
Not many people have Blu-ray players now, right?
Well, yeah, well, that's their problem. I'm sending them the product. It doesn't matter if they can release.
That would be
it or not.
fun. You send it in a device that they have to go find a player for.
Put it in a mini disc. Have you heard of the mini disc?
Yeah, that's how Age of Empires came back on when I was like 17, 15
You
years
record
old,
it on a
13 years
tape
old.
cassette.
So Blu-ray discs are owned by Sony, right? They actually own the property. And in this last month, they just announced that they're going to be canceling Blu-rays that you can record on yourself. So all the way up till right now, you could buy empty Blu-ray discs that you could record off your like TV and like a VCR record onto. And they've decided this month, like a couple of days ago, that they're going to finally cancel. They're not making any more of those.
Oh, it's gonna be
And
expensive then.
The real
Go hard.
surprise
Amazon
is
Day.
that still exists right now. Like, who the fuck is buying Blu-rays?
It's not got a golfing price. Who's using
Yeah,
Blu-ray discs anymore?
that's what I'm saying.
Collectible,
It'll be
bro.
like one random dude in a garage being like, "Oh no, my Blu-rays." That's the only
But
one.
I have Blu-rays.
Yeah, but it's not even Blu-rays that you buy from like JB Hi-Fi. It's Blu-rays that you buy empty and then record your own stuff on. Like,
Yeah.
who's doing that?
We're in the digital age.
One day.
You just airdrop your videos to people.
Because of this.
What if you have like a digital warfare and then Blu-ray becomes like gold because it's the only medium you can go through?
Because of this, I was like, who the fuck is using this? So I did a little bit of reading and I did some background research, right? Do you know one of the primary ways that security companies still store their information is on like VCR tape?
Yeah.
But like big
But
old
it's a very
versions
different
of it.
style, magnetic tapes.
Yeah, magnetic tape. People still store huge amounts of product on like information on magnetic tape.
Because it's like long-term storage, and you can like put it away somewhere where you have like physical safety, like vaults and stuff.
I don't know if you remember, like when people would say, like, you know, when you got a Blu-ray, like, oh, it's going to last like 10 years or 9 years or something, and then it would start to degenerate. But that's not true, right? Like, I've got Blu-rays that I've had for more than 10 years that I can still play right now.
I think if you store the actual physical medium in a safe spot, it probably doesn't expire.
Well, I thought the whole idea was honest, like a CD disc was that it would just naturally would degrade within itself, but I don't.
Not sure. Well, if you're talking things like in a computer, right? You have your flash storage, like SSDs, and you have your hard drives on disks. All those eventually, over time from use, will wear down, and eventually you'll lose it.
So, back to the original topic.
Do you have a certain tune you would like for the introduction song?
No, I'm okay with hip hop,
Yeah.
R&B and stuff.
Yeah.
As long as
Do
it's
we want
catchy.
lyrics?
If you're casual Sunday hanging out at home, William, what music are you putting on?
Ooh, good
I
question.
don't really listen to a lot of music though.
I can't with William. I like you so much, William. I like you as a man.
Yeah.
I like you as a friend. I
zero
like you as a
entertainment.
business partner. You don't read books. You don't listen to music. What the fuck do you do during the week?
So my music taste is very, very odd.
Okay.
So
Ooh, okay.
I listen to a lot of classical.
Sure. Yeah. He's a refined man.
Because I'm a classical trained.
Yeah.
What?
Sips a wine,
What the fuck?
plays
So,
the
like-
piano.
Like, I mean, musically trained, like classically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you play?
So I play the guitar, but
I also play guitar.
but not the like acoustics and stuff. It's like the classical guitar.
Yeah.
So
I
you
also play classical guitar.
so you transfer the lute, right? So the classical
Is
guitar
it-
came from the lute.
I don't want to be the one who says
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but
Asians can't escape the stereotypes. Listen, I'm like, when I was young, I fulfilled all the stereotypes, right? I was like piano, guitar. I played basketball, badminton, table tennis.
Wow,
you're like a walking stereotype.
Bro, I am, dude.
Asian.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm classically trained. So that's the kind of like music that I really like. Like if I can listen,
Do you have an artist?
more to Beethoven, like Bach.
Beethoven, Bach,
Yeah.
Mozart.
Bach is like very lute because his music is composed on like lute. So lute is
Like
the
yeah,
direct,
string instruments.
yes, directly like classical guitar comes like from lute. Like it's easier to transfer
nice.
lute music into guitar.
So when I was young, because I'm like very heavily ADHD, I subscribed heavily to the idea of like having background music that's like kind of like white noise. So it allows your brain to focus on one thing, but then it allows your brain to focus on something else. And I listen to heaps of Beethoven and Bach and like a lot of like classical. I mainly got what I actually bought it from Sanity. I don't know if you remember Sanity, like the store.
Music store.
Yeah, music store, right? It was like the pre-JB Hacker, I guess. And I went there and I bought, I think it was probably like a 9 or 10 disc case, and it had all these different discs of like classical composers in there. And I would listen to it like while studying and doing different things because it was like background noise. And if there's no words in it that you understand, then it can stay as background noise, which then allows you to focus on a second thing.
That's me right now, and I'm screwed where I can't study without some sort of music in the background now. My brain's been conditioned because I
Yeah.
do so much now, where I have to put on some like lo-fi or some jazzy tunes or whatever, something simple in the background, and my brain can't focus without it now. I've developed like a dependency. It's weird.
I wouldn't put it as a have to. I think that's fine. Like a lot of these like neuro untypical things like ADHD and like all this stuff has shown that if you can use it in the right way or like it's kind of like a little bit of a superpower.
Yeah.
Like my ability to just
Me
knuckle-
hyper-focusing,
Yeah.
playing video games, playing Counter-Strike
Yeah,
for 3 hours
I think the
straight.
point is that you're trying to push that into a more valuable resource. Like,
Do you know who else plays the lute?
oh,
A bard.
what?
A bard. Yeah.
Oh,
William's
I
like,
thought you said Bart, like as in Bart Simpson or something.
No.
So this is going all the way back to the D&D.
right with several episodes back. Yeah. Well, when I grew up, I enjoyed like the rock music from the 80s and like the 70s.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
Kind of like that. Also, a lot of that like psychedelic rock era. So I was really big into like Bob Marley and also Why am I all of a sudden drawing mental blank, boys?
I get it.
Guitarist. Little Wing, All Along the Watchtower.
Joe Satriani,
Oh my god, I'm drawing mental blank here.
Steve
Jimi
Vai.
Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix.
I'm not good. I'm not good at
Wow.
recalling names. I'm not.
That
gonna
was
be
that was
helpful.
a super spaz moment for my brain.
So-
But anyway, Jimi Hendrix, I grew up listening to, and I love his music. Crazy.
I like classical, right?
Yeah.
The other end of the spectrum, I'm into like heavy metal,
Ooh.
like Slayer.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Like Slayer, and then you have like Slipknot and stuff.
yeah.
Like
I didn't know that.
yeah,
But
that's
but
my
I
take.
get
like,
it though. 'cause
So did you ever go to Soundwave concerts here?
no, I don't go to concerts. Yeah, but
I was a big metal concert goer. Like,
But you're not
big.
the only classical trained person that really likes metal, though. Because metal, I get it though. Because metal is very is composed in a certain way, which requires a lot of skill.
certain bands have very, very incredibly complex, like music structure. Yeah, like for them to hit certain parts on the guitar, like one piece after the next piece, like incredible skill from their hands to be able to move that quickly and like pretty impressive stuff.
But anyway,
Like,
so when I was young, I listened to a lot of Jimi Hendrix, and I really wanted to be like Jimi Hendrix, play the guitar, just do really cool, impressive things, not realizing how hard it was. And I told my dad, "Hey, can you get me a guitar? I want to play like Jimi Hendrix." And he bought me a classical guitar, which is not the same
Not the
guitar.
same thing,
And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, I really wanted an electric guitar, Dad, please." So
silence.
yeah, unfortunately, I had to learn how to play. Instead, I just had to learn how to play like Elvis.
I think my parents never pushed us on anything musically. Like
Mm-hmm.
my parents aren't very musical at all, and we never pushed it that way. But it's a real shame because, like, you know, when you're like, if you could like wish one thing, like if you could like, I don't know, fly or like be invisible, mine would be I wish I could sing because I'm really, really into music. Like I love all different genres, and I'm really good at memorizing songs where in other ways I can't memorize anything else I do in my life. Like I can memorize like songs I'm really into, and I'm like really, really into it. And I just wish I could sing so bad, but I sing like a dying horse. Like,
You know how a
it's terrible.
few episodes back on the podcast, we were talking about like attractive hobbies for like dating. and
Oh
stuff?
yeah.
And what I should have said, like a really good one, was music. Like
Yeah.
whether you're really into music, you consume it, or whether you can make music. Those are both very like attractive like hobbies, which can also start conversations and looks good, means you're dedicated and talented.
Even more so, like I feel like the producer side of the music is probably even more because you don't want to be the guy who has like a guitar who sits around a bonfire and tries to sing like.
I don't know. I still don't mind that. That's nice.
Yeah, but it's cringy, right?
It is, yeah.
So it's like, but if you're like a cool producer guy who like is involved in the industry and understands how music happens, like
Hey,
you can really bring.
when I
people
was
in.
when I was young and we used to go on camp, it was me and my mate that used to bring our guitars to the campfires.
Ooh, Casanova King.
I was never that good though.
So
I was
have you
never-
have you ever seen any bands live?
Yes.
Yeah, any standouts?
Mr. Big.
Oh,
You know Mr. Big?
yeah.
Yeah, it's very good.
Have,
Okay,
so
so-
because you're how old are you, Kang?
27.
Now, have you seen any bands live at all?
No.
No. So it's weird because I'm 33, 34 this year. When I was in my between like 17 to the early like mid 20s, 25, I saw heaps and heaps of bands live. And it was around that time where a big concert in Australia was called like Soundwave, and that would bring all the metal bands through. And there was Rocket, and there was a bunch of other bands. Like anyone who's older than like probably 28, 29, listen to the podcast will remember some of these here in Australia, right? And they were big concerts. They all were controlled by a guy called AJ Matter, and he had like some big issue, controversy, some nonsense, right? And he was taken out of the picture, and that means most bands wouldn't then come to Australia because he was the one guy in the whole country organizing people to come across. And now I think of like, I know so many bands that I've listened to first at concerts, like big concerts, like Coheed in Cambria and like Slayer, stuff like that. And it's like the people only ever, because again, it's pre-internet as well, like midways, right? I listen to them there. Young people now don't have these enormous concerts coming through. There's a little bit like dance music track stuff. Like we still have
It's a lot more of the modern day like pop and hip hoppy stuff.
yeah,
that comes through
100%. But it's like there's nowhere near as much music coming through or big festivals coming through as there was when I was 18. And I think that's such a shame for young guys right now who are coming up and they just don't have that same
I think
opportunity
it's
to go
different
there.
culture because I don't think we're lacking in it. A lot more of the culture now is you go to smaller gigs in like clubs or bars
Yeah.
or like places where people perform gigs. Because while I say I haven't been to any like performances per se. I've never been to like any big ones of note. I've always like tended would like go to friends and we go check out someone's gig or whatever. It'll be fun. It'll be like rock music or some sort of like, you know, metal music.
There was a Soundwave like really culminated in the end of some of these massive festivals. One year I saw Marilyn Manson played, and then after him played Slipknot, and then after them played
That's a hell of a cast.
It's such a shame that I can't remember exactly who it was, but there was 4 bands in a row, because it was a long enough time ago now that I've forgotten a little bit who it is. But in one time, Iron Maiden played at Soundwave and it finished off, and it was at Claremont Showgrounds, and Claremont Showgrounds had a certain cutoff time, I think at like 12 o'clock for noise things. And the lead singer for Iron Maiden was like basically like F the rules. They were basically, and they were just played until they were physically shut down, and like people shut down the electricity to the stage because they were like kept going through on too long. But like one of the things that was like, is Marilyn Manson, Slipknot, System of a Down.
Oh, System of a Down.
And that wasn't even the headliner. I can't remember who the headliner was that night. I'll remember by the end of it. But it was these 4. I'll Google in a second. But like these Soundwave concerts in Australia were like heavy hitters, like massive heavy hitters.
System of a Down is so good.
Yeah. At one point, Slayer played on a backstage, not even a primary stage. And it's like, these festivals were massive. And I just, you know, we'd train in there with friends, and like, they were great times. Like they used to, even before they were playing at Claremont Showgrounds, they used to play at Blue Steel Park, which is in Bassendean. And it was like, I remember I watched Killswitch. So we, one night. Kang's showing some Slayer merch going on there.
Yeah, I got my skateboard trucks. So my like axles on my skateboard are Slayer.
Oh, nice. That's gas.
Kang's like raining blood.
So one of the first Soundwaves I went to, where Killswitch Engage played that day, and it was when Howard Jones was the lead singer. So it's how the Killswitch Engage has swapped lead singers a couple of times, right? Anyway, Howard Jones is this massive African American man. He's big, staunch, muscly guy, right? So we're in the crowd, and I'm with a couple friends, my mate Todd, Ben, and Liam. And Liam's quite wide, especially the age we're like just maybe 18, and he was a bit of a short fella. And Howard Jones climbs up onto the massive speakers. He it's like maybe a story and a half, 2 stories high, right?
So on the stage and on the platform.
And he's up on, he's all the way up on the thing. He's above the stage, he's up on the speakers. He's jumped up there, and he's going to jump into the crowd, and he looks around the crowd and looks where to jump. And he looks at this group of people, and there's some like big guys there. So Howard Jones jumps in, and in the middle of this group of quite large guys is my mate Liam, and Liam is like quite small. So he puts his hands up, and Howard Jones launches and lands straight on top of him, and kind of goes through these guys and like hits the crowd where Liam is standing, and Liam just like crumples to the ground, like he just collapses, and like he's like collapses in, and like, you know, Howard Jones like crowd surfs right back to the top, to the front, and then the security grab him and put him back on the stage or whatever.
I would love it if it's like a Looney Tune bit where like he lands and he just impales him halfway through the ground.
Well, like at the end of that set, the drummer from Killswitch, he like throws his what's the drumstick? The
Drumsticks.
Yeah, drumsticks. He throws them out of the crowd, and my other mate Ben catches one, and it was like crazy stuff, and like there was a.
So you guys were up front. You guys were in the good parts.
Man. That same thing. Like Alexis on Fire played, and I didn't know who Alexis on Fire who were at that time. And then after that thing, as I became like 17, 18, you became one of my favorite bands of all time. And I didn't even see them.
A lot of the reason why I don't go to like the big shows and performances anymore is that I'm a stickler. Like I want to go to the nice seats. I want to get the general admission, but they sell out within the first like 10 minutes of anyone notable, and then you have to go to get the nosebleeder seats. What's the point?
Well, that's
like I'm watching through a screen anyway.
That's the difference between these massive festivals. They weren't it weren't seating. You'd go into like Claremont Showgrounds, and there'd be 3 stages, and you'd walk in between stages. You'd be there for like 8-9 hours, and there's like food, and your mates are there, and like drinking areas, and like it was these big long distance things, and they were like such an experience to go to. And it's just a shame. I generally feel such a shame. Like a band that I like is called Coheed in Cambria, and we were at Soundwave, and we were exhausted. Like we were dehydrated, we were drinking too much like booze, and we went down to sit somewhere else. And me and my friend Todd heard this other band, and we're like, oh, this is amazing. So we wandered over to where the sound was coming from the stage, and we watched this band, and it was this guy standing on stage, and was like playing this big electric guitar, and he had this massive afro, and he was like shaking it around, and the music was hell good, and we'd never heard of them before. And so like that we listened to this band and then we like had to run up to people like, hey, do you know who this is? And they told us who the band was. And then, 3 days later we could download their music on LimeWire. Like that's how we experienced and we learned about this band. There was no Spotify, there was no iTunes, there's no way to
It's the most authentic way to kind of discover.
Yeah, man. We literally we're like sitting like on a grass somewhere drinking water and you heard this music wandered over to us for us to like follow. And it was like crazy. And from that one, we went on to the third stage, which was where Slayer and what's another like heavy metal band like that? Very popular.
Black Sabbath.
No. Just name a couple.
Slipknot, System of a Down, you said it.
Nice.
No, what's that?
Whatever.
I wish I was more knowledgeable in metal music because metal music is actually like I actually like a lot of it.
Not everything is like nice to me. Like certain like catchy ones.
Yeah.
Megadeth. It was Megadeth.
Megadeth.
So Slayer and Megadeth played on stage after each other on the third big stage.
Third stage.
Yeah, I know. It was crazy.
What?
Crazy. Like, and they
Like those are like premium. Like
Yeah.
premium.
Yeah.
If I can recognize it, it means they're probably big name because I'm not.
Well,
very
it used
versed
to like
in the metal scene.
I think like the whole experience of like what Danny is saying that it is different now though. Like people now like if you see the current biggest concert right now is like Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah.
So that's the kind of like concert people
It's more
want.
about going to specific artists now, right?
Yeah, very
But
specific.
we still have festivals. I think it's
not-
coming back now.
It's
with
not
COVID
as
finishing
big
up.
though. Like festivals do not like take like 100K.
Right.
You have like probably like 20-30K max.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
this is Soundwave 2012, which is the one that I was talking about before. So it was A Day to Remember played, then Limp Bizkit,
Ooh, wow.
then Marilyn Manson,
Oh, frat.
then Slipknot, then System of a Down as the headliner. You've got like Limp Bizkit as fifth on the bar. Like that's fucking crazy.
What year was this?
2012.
Yeah,
Limp
wow.
Bizkit is my time. Like it's pretty good. Like Fred does.
But you've got other bands like Cobra Starship, Trivium, Lamb of God.
Trivium?
Yeah, Lamb of God was there. Like these are like 6 or 7, 10 people down. Like this is I'm showing the boys a photo. I'll post it on the thing.
Hold on,
yeah,
let me see what I remember.
There's like 60 bands.
Those
there.
show posters are super nostalgic.
It's-
Did you ever get like posters of him and put on your wall?
I didn't because I didn't have a lot of like. I didn't. I wish I did. I wish I'd collected some of the merch from back then, like shirts or jumpers or like some of the festival concerts. Like if I could have like this as a poster on my wall right now,
Yeah,
or in the
I
club
collect
here,
posters.
I
When I was
feel
young, I wasn't allowed to put them
like
up.
then there were only like one ticket.
Yeah.
Like now,
Oh, there's
it's
way
like-
more of a culture of like,
yeah.
people just
So
buy
like
a
now it's
billion
like you have the
tickets.
cabana,
Yeah.
like you have this premium seat. You're selling like the VIP. People just want to flex now. It's not like really listening to the
I
music.
think you were still part of that early stages of more like that free radical, like we're gonna listen to music, party, and like get still of the influence of that 80s and 90s culture coming through.
It's pretty much like
By now, in that real modern
one
like,
ticket, one price,
Now
one
it's,
ticket.
everything's on demand, right?
Yeah.
People are a bit more picky with the music. Like you go to,
I want a
see
VIP, sit
particular
it
person.
down, Like I want to experience like the most premium, like what is it called? If you watch like Optus, you go to the box, stuff like that.
We're learning what William listens to music. We listen to
I
music.
think, I
William
think it's
learns.
crazy that's what you listen to. Like quite often on like a Wednesday when I'm on shift, I'll play like a bunch of like old like metal emo music as well, like just like ease it in. I just want to do one more though. So in 2011, the headliner was Iron Maiden, right? And they overplayed their stage. That's when they basically said like, fuck the system. We're gonna like play until we get kicked off the stage. But before them played Queens of the Stone Age, One Day Is a Lion, Slayer, Primus, Slash,
Primus.
30 Seconds to Mars, Avenged Sevenfold, Bullet for My Valentine, and then it like goes down into things like Rob Zombie, and like these are guys who are like in the fine print. Rob Zombie's in the fine print of this concert.
So I just want to talk a little bit about Primus. So if you have not listened to Primus, take a listen.
Sure.
So they have one of the best bassists in the world.
Oh yeah.
So the singer sings like the singer is the bassist. So the lead is the bassist. Like the whole band is.
The bass is the foundation of a
Wait,
lot of
is
metal
it?
music, right?
I just want to make sure. Is it Primus? I'm sure it's Primus.
Check, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just check.
But like in that year, like Sum 41, which is a massive band, Sum 41 is down in the dregs of the bottom lineage. Like that's a band that
Was
comes
that like a no-brainer? Like everyone
I'm
that listens
correct.
to music at that time. would
yeah.
go?
So Sum 41 is like punk music essentially. But
So
like,
Primus, I'm correct. So Primus, the bassist is the lead, is the vocalist. So his name is Les Claypool. Like he plays bass like melody, not bass. He plays melody bass.
But with the
Oh,
bass,
yeah. So
yeah.
the bass is the forefront.
Like
of the
it's
music.
so crazy. Have a listen.
Sure. Primus.
Primus.
I think at the end of this, what the shame really is that these festivals don't come around, and there isn't that experience for young people to get out there and have this, like, you know, it's different now. You can go to a club, you can go to a nightclub, and but it's just not the same thing. Like the focus is on like drinks, like drinking piss and drugs and having a late night. Whereas
Do you think it's? I don't know. I still get that a lot though in young culture still. It's just the music has shifted over.
Yeah, maybe
Instead of that, like
maybe some of
punk
these
and
bands
metal
aren't
music,
as popular. Yeah.
Nowadays, what's more popular is like pop and hip hoppy style music tracks. You got a lot more rap music happening.
Like,
but
these
these
didn't shut
festivals
down
still
because
show
he
up.
didn't make any money. So maybe at the end of the day, like it was either mismanaged or he wasn't selling enough tickets, right?
Because there are still big festivals that people always talk about and go to, right? And there's still the same amount of like drugs and alcohol
I
happening.
think a lot of festivals now like government sponsored.
Festivals in the US happen like this, like the ones we're talking about,
Yeah.
quite regularly. Like you'll see some massive standouts of bands put together, but they just don't come, especially Perth. Like there's I forget the name of it now, but there was a big festival that happened in it was either Adelaide or Sydney, and something on the grass.
I'm more tuned into the American side of music, so I know a lot of the American festivals.
Well, there was a big festival that's been cancelled this year because they couldn't get the insurance rights essentially to hold it. And
Yeah, I think like currently the current like climate, insurance is a problem as well.
I
So
live-
a lot of these like big events do not like can't be like realized because all these red tapes that's happening
especially
right
when
now.
in Australia, where like the cost of everything is significantly more expensive than what these American guys are expecting it to be. So like the cost to fly here and the cost to stay here and they have all those things shipped around the country, like pretty much nothing comes to WA anymore because the cost of shipping the items from over east to Perth, which is such a long distance, it just isn't feasible for a lot of these places. And there's something we touched on when I was working for the, I guess the festivals and the alcohol companies. Like when Bjork came here, she came and they brought this stage, right? And it was the biggest airplane hangar in the Southern Hemisphere is what they brought here to Western Australia to house the Bjork concert. And it cost them like significant amounts of money. And what happens is, you're right, William, the government actually chips in and pays a big chunk of money to the concert or the musician themselves to basically get them to come over here. So let's say it's going to cost them, I don't know, $30 million to bring the airplane hangar from, I think it was from somewhere in Southeast Asia to Western Australia to set it up here, to bring it here. The government would chip in and be like, all right, you know, it's going to cost you 30 million. We'll chip in 11 million, expecting that people flying from Sydney and Southeast Asia and like South Africa and stuff like that are going to fly here and they will spend money as tourism in the state. But like, how is that really quantifiable? You know, like if someone comes from South Africa and they stay in a hotel and they eat out at dinner 3 times, there's no way for the government to know that money's come from them. You know what I mean?
I think it's also just a public service thing, right? Like the government has incentive to also provide events for the people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
things for the people
yeah. Like
still.
Perth Social Club ran the.
I think it's a
Bjork thing.
chain reaction.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like when Coldplay is in Perth, right? So
Yeah, that was the last big one.
yeah, so number one, flights, the frequency and day.
Yeah.
And then all your hotels, like Crown will be like
guess how
super
booked out
packed.
they are, yeah.
So Crown will be packed and then all the food will be packed. And then you have like people working. So you like people get hired as well to do the all the security, all the you know, all your people in the stage as well, all these things.
Yeah,
so you get
yeah.
that economy growing as well. So you get all the transport and stuff like that. And then you have like food. So that's one thing as well. So like people are gonna be coming from like
It's like
over
the tourism
east.
factor. Yeah.
Yeah, tourism, and then they're gonna be like, maybe I'll just spend a few days going down south or like to Albany or whatever. So these are things. It just adds up.
I like to think that the government has like a budgeting and like they set aside a certain amount of money per year to do it, and they're like, screw it, we'll just use our money for this anyway.
Yeah.
They might as well. And if it happens to bring a lot
Same
of
thing like the
economic sector-
UFC. It's like in Perth. So a lot of people fly over for the UFC.
Yeah, yeah. It was funny when the last working for the alcohol company, I was when the Alex Askanovsky, what's his name?
Volkanovski.
But Volkanovski, that's
in
it.
Perth as well.
When he came for their flight, I was actually kind of with the Volkanovski family, and in the
Greek family, right?
yeah, where they were waiting for them after. But a lot of the people that he'd brought over from Sydney were Italians, and there was these like Italians in really tight clothing and like Gucci shoes, and like we're at Metros in Northbridge, and Metros in Northbridge isn't a very
It is a big one though.
it is a big space, but it's not a new space. It's not a very cleaned up space.
It was built out of like a theater, like an old rundown theater.
Yes, yeah, and so it rundown is like the way to go. Like, I think the thing is like when you go in any like nightclub or concert space like that, you go there during like on a Monday at 9:30. It's very different to what it feels like at like Saturday at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, there's no lights. It's very dirty.
I think
you can smell the alcohol.
especially like if you're used to the night, you're really looking for that more underground feel anyway.
Yeah.
Like I imagine if you're in like in Europe and you're in Germany and you're hunting down like cool clubs and bars, you're looking for the more dingy underground ones. You go down an alleyway and you find yourself in a warehouse. There's just loud music on, strange people.
Lights and noise hide a lot of the grit.
Yeah.
And when you go there on like a Tuesday morning at like 9 o'clock, that grit is very clear. Like the people
1 o'clock in the morning, you barely have your senses, bro, and you're still stumbling in, right?
The people who've yacked and like peed on the floor and like all the rubbish and all the booze and stuff like that. It's like it's just very because all the lights are on now. Your floodlights are on, so you can clean up, and it's pretty obvious, right? Anyway, we're like there with the Volkanovski family and these very very rich Italian guys who owned a bunch of nightclubs in Sydney, and we're chatting along with them, and they're kind of like at some point the fight's finished. And the family has to come from the RSC Arena over to Metros. And normally it's like a 2-minute walk, but they're doing all this road construction in the middle. So the family, the guys on the phone trying to explain to the Volkanovski family as they're coming over from RSC to Metros, trying to explain to them how to go. And as you know, we have in Perth, we have a thing called the Horseshoe Bridge. Yeah. And the Horseshoe Bridge is like a big bridge shaped like
it's a semicircle bridge.
Yeah, yeah. And but instead of being able to walk straight from the RSC to the Metros, they have to go up, down the street, up the bridge, around the bridge, and then back down again. And they were like not impressed. The guy was like, "Look, I think we're close, but really, like it's like a 20-minute walk, and you got to go past the homeless people, and then over the construction."
How'd you bump into the family?
We were because I was working at the event, and we were basically with them.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So we were kind of like when I was working for the bar staff, we were like the alcohol company. We were kind of like bar staff, but more like free to just like hang out with the people. It wasn't really, we're kind of like salesmen, right? My job was to really go into the VIP areas and just I had like usually like VIP access to most things, and I could go and speak to the people.
It's like when clubs have promoters.
Yeah,
where like they're not really employed, but they just get bonuses for going out and promoting.
Yeah, my job was really just to bring awareness to the company that I was working for. So I'd get VIP access to still like a lot of like all the green rooms and the back room stuff.
Not a bad perk.
Yeah, it's pretty good to be honest with you. And I just go hang out with the families and chat with them. And my job was really to just not be like an annoying.
Just don't be annoying.
Yeah, just don't be annoying.
Just be an entertaining person to be around.
If I can get a business card across, even one a night, that was really all the goal was. And if it happened, it happened. If it didn't, it didn't. But I made like quite a few friends, and like quite often, really, what was valuable to us was it was like even though we were there to like hang out with the family, it was more valuable for me to like get chummy with the bar staff. So I would go to like afters with the people who ran the club and the people working behind the bar, because if I can become chummy with them, it means the next time I rock up at the nightclub or the event they're running, they're more likely to be like, "Oh, it's Danny."
Your job criteria is still to network.
Yeah, just basically networking, right? But it was pretty interesting. These guys have come from like expensive part of Sydney to come to Perth, and they're like, Perth was not up to snuff.
Do you reckon the family's enjoying the successes of like Alex Volkanovski?
Yeah. A lot of these guys come from, and specifically his I know his background as well has come from a lower socioeconomic situation, and now these families are thrust into like a lot of them are immigrants that come to Australia.
The rest of the family up, right?
100%, yeah. And I don't know, like a guy like that as well who seems quite genuine. As like it's hard when you're talking about people that are famous or people that made a lot of money because
is he a fighter?
Yeah.
I don't watch UFC, so
so he's the UFC.
He's an Australian fella.
Oh, nice.
What something I really like from him? Did you see the adverts he did when he pretended to be the old guy? So Volkanovski's like quiet. He's like 30.
He's approaching 40. He's like 35ish, 36ish.
Yeah, 36. I thought he was about 36, right? And compared to the fighters he's fighting at the moment, who are in like they're maybe like mid-20s, late 20s, he keeps being considered like being talked about as the old man.
Oftentimes the insults were like directed at him being like, "You're too old, Volkanovski, you're too old."
So he did a scope of all these adverts where he was this old man in like old trousers and like a little beret, and like he's sitting in his living room and and it was such a cool way for like so many fighters and like UFC guys are like, "Oh, I'm the toughest guy," and they talk all this shit, and he just like put a little bit of comedy into it.
It's that very Australian culture, because all those ads as well were very lean to that Australian comedy.
Yes,
my favorite part about this whole situation was after he did all those ads where he was an old man Volkanovski. The big press, they like UFC like to do press conferences where they raise a lot of hype to get the fighters together to insult each other. Alex Volkanovski shows up to his press conference in his old man outfit.
That's so
and the
good.
entire time he's like, "Oh, you young whippersnappers, I'll whip your butts." And it was a great moment where the person he was fighting was just like throwing insults at him, and he just has a little nap. He just dozes off. He has an old man nap in the corner.
It's so good as well. Like I think this thing is like I
gotta watch that.
I did Muay
it's
Thai
quite
and
funny.
like fighting a lot when I was younger, and I was like not bad at it. I was definitely no fucking Volkanovski, right? But I was quite
But
good.
wait, hold on.
And we would
Did
drink.
he win?
Right now,
He
Australia's...
won that fight.
No,
but
no,
not-
against that young kid.
Oh,
I don't think he did.
who was it again he fought? Because he lost to Islam Makhachev.
Oh, Islam is
And,
like the number one, right?
Yeah, he's pound for pound number one right now.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's
I think
a few fights back,
I think
and have
unfortunately he
bad
lost
memory.
that fight. But
He's on a two fight loss streak right now.
one of
Okay.
the
So Australians right now are like feels bad. A lot of Australians it feels bad right now because we really like he's very endearing to a lot of Australians
Yeah.
UFC fans. So right now all of our eggs are on the Robert Whittaker basket.
Yes.
We're like, Robert Whittaker, come on, Australian pride. And then Alex Volkanovski right now is like, all right, you go rest yourself. You got knocked out twice.
Well,
go back to camp.
I think Alex is also prepping himself for the future where, you know, the guys from Sushi Mango, who are the Italian fellas who do the comedy stuff from out of Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
He's really like,
He's diversifying. He's like entrepreneur.
yeah,
right now.
he's got like, I think their PR camps have really like got them involved with each other. And he's doing a bunch of like PR campaigns and like comedy stuff with those of the Sushi Mango guys. And I think that's a good, because no one wants to fight for the rest of their life. You know what I mean?
He's really
Like,
he's got a limited number of fights left in him, and when you get knocked out in your mid-30s, that's different. You can only take so much punishment.
you can only get punched in the head so many times.
Yeah.
And I think that's from I did competitive like Muay Thai and boxing when I was younger, and everyone's prepared to like be a superhero until you get punched in the face and it hell hurts, and you're like, oh, this actually is hell bad. Like getting punched in the face is like not ideal. So
Was that classic Mike Tyson quote where everyone has a plan until they get punched?
yes, it's exactly that. It's exactly that. Like, and I think what happens is you see it a lot in
Oh,
competitive.
I'm real disappointed because we didn't get the Mike Tyson fight with Jake Paul, right?
Yeah, but that was never happening.
What happened?
I think Mike Tyson had to pull out because of like injuries and such.
He's also like 60 years old.
I wasn't
that
surprised.
was never happening.
The part of me was disappointed because we didn't get the fight, but also a big part of me is relieved because I didn't really want to see old man Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
get punched.
there's in no universe because at the end of the day, whether you like him or not,
The man's retired, bro. It's like watching someone's grandpa get
and
punched.
Also, Logan is massive,
Yeah.
and he's a
He's
very
a big guy.
competent boxer. Like he's
Was it
actually
Logan or Jake? I can't remember.
whichever one. It
Jake
is.
Paul, Jake
Doesn't
Paul.
matter. Jake Paul. Like
Right.
his hair, whichever one it is. His boxing is actually very competent. Like if you look at him against any other boxer, he's actually quite good. And the thing is, like he's a big, fit, muscly guy with all the access to the best peptides in the world
Yeah.
and all the money.
He has the money for the coaches, the training.
Yeah, so he's actually very, very good. Do I want to see if it wasn't like Jake or whoever it is, like as a like an influencer guy, if it was any other boxer, right? You know, you put Mike Tyson with Mike Floyd. Do I want to see Floyd?
Floyd Mayweather.
I want to say Mike Floyd.
But even Floyd Mayweather's up there now.
But do you want to see Floyd punch Mike Tyson in the face and embarrass him? No, man. Mike Tyson's like a natural treasure.
Also, that would
Leave
be
him
that would be instant one sided. Like people give
yeah.
Floyd Mayweather a lot of shit, but he is pound for pound one of the best.
One of the most like tactical boxers
Yeah.
and the best tactical boxers that's ever existed, right? And I just don't think like I don't know, man. But 60's old, bro. 60's like my granddad.
What it-
like if
what
someone
it-
put my granddad in a boxing ring and tried to fight him,
I like
what
to
the
relate. I
fuck?
like to relate it a lot to like imagine racing. Because we're going back to racing. I like racing. You take a modern day car and you take an old car. Even if you have an incompetent driver in the new car, the new car's going to smoke the old car.
Oh yeah. It's
Yeah.
good. It's a great example. Yeah, and it's like you don't like
Have
nobody.
you not watched Initial D?
Well, I also know that I've watched people try to drift on the Japanese mountains and go right off the mountains.
So there's this like famous anime, right, called Initial D. That's where all the drifting comes from.
That's where the memes of all like the Eurobeat and drifting
Yeah.
and the popularity of the Toyota Terreno.
yeah.
yeah,
It's like this beat up old car.
So
Killing
it's a
all the
hatchback
modern
It's a
cars.
sporty Toyota hatchback from like the 90s.
How would it stand up against the king of the road, William?
The RX-8. Oh no, not the loaf, the bread loaf.
Yeah, the bread loaf.
Yeah,
But because it's like a hill, so it's a lot of like
yeah.
twists and turns.
Japanese
right?
hills
So
go
it's
up
not
serpentine.
about speed. it's all about skills.
Control.
Yeah, control.
I was doing a delivery today up in the truck, and I was up in Rolling Stone. I actually put a video up on the Instagram, and whatever the hill was at, it was like steep as shit, and my truck couldn't go more than like 3 kilometers up this hill. I was like in gear 1, just like slowly creeping up. What a nightmare.
And then the people behind like, hey man.
Yeah, it was one of those things where like I was going so slow that when there's like little like pull off sections where I can pull off the side of the road so the cars can go past, and like everyone honks at you and gives you a little wave. I'm like, yep, still good. Sorry about the last 35 minutes while you stuck behind me.
So, Danny, at the start of the podcast, you say you had a joke. What was the joke?
All right. Let me try and remember before you go back in.
All right.
Before we went live, Danny was like, "Oh, I have a joke for you guys."
In my mind,
that was 50 minutes ago.
I thought I was going to start it. All right. All right. A man walks into a hospital with 15 plastic horses up his bum. All right. But the doctor says to him, "You're going to be okay." What diagnosis does the doctor give him? What? He's stable.
Do you have the
Oh, I have a bunch for this. Hold on, where is it?
Well, I'll say it again. Ready? Get it?
Yeah, go.
He's stable.
Okay.
Was it worth it, Willie?
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the dad joke phase, dude.
Okay. Calm down.
I have terrible short-term memory, like with the ADHD and just like being like.
How many times did you have to repeat that joke to yourself?
So many times. I heard it like 2 or 3 days ago, and every day I'm like, I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna forget birthdays. I'm gonna forget like medical appointments. I'm gonna forget deliveries that I'm supposed to do. But I'm gonna hold on to this joke for the podcast.
Insane.
All right, while you guys sit here for a second, I'm gonna get another beer. So I'm gonna be back in just a second.
Oh,
all right?
look at that.
Get 2, 1 for.
Grab me and William one. William,
I don't know.
Get a beer.
I don't want to drink and drive.
You can have one.
No,
All right.
I'm a responsible.
You're a father of 2, responsible family
man.
Fair enough. Maybe we should bring it back to a hobby. You know, we've been talking about 50 minutes of not hobby, but maybe this is why people come to our podcast.
Talking
Episode
about trash
20.
and then hobby. Well, talking about hobby, right? So we're gonna take. See, this is the perk of being a Patreon subscriber, right? You get to suggest topics for us to talk about, and one of the topics that we're gonna talk about today is 2 topics.
Yeah, it was from the comments. It was from the chat, right?
Yeah, it's from the chat.
Facebook
So
chat.
we're talking about Legos, right?
Yeah,
so
dude.
Legos is like a lifelong hobby. I'm sure like any one of us would have like played Lego, collect Lego, bought Lego at any time
I
part
think
of our life.
if I was
right?
to make a wild guess, I think everyone has at least one point experienced Lego.
Oh,
right?
definitely.
Like any kid growing up probably has experienced Lego.
Do you have Lego, Denny?
Yeah.
Tons of Lego?
Cheers.
Lego?
Hold up. Do it next to the speaker.
Oh, yeah, we can hear it.
Yeah.
That's fucking good, boys.
Okay.
So I was actually pretty lucky. Like,
Oh, you know, we're celebrating episode 20. This is what we're doing.
This is episode 20.
This is episode 20.
Wait, that's actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
20 is like a
Impressive.
pretty. We've done it every single week since we started, which is
We've been on
actually
time.
pretty crazy. I can't do fuck all every single week since I started anything in my life.
I
So
couldn't
20
think
is
of
great.
2 other better people to have a podcast in.
Dude, so tonight we managed to play some Commander before the podcast, and I was sitting down with William, and we're having I had a good time.
I can
hanging
always
out with
know
my
that.
friend Will, but I kept going to say things to him, and I'm like, oh, I can't say that because I need to keep it for the podcast. And I was like, I'm not going to fucking remember it by the time we get the podcast. And I'd go to say something to him like,
I was
5%, I'm
playing
like,
the most broken deck ever.
The loudest games of Command on a Thursday night are always when you 2 are on a table together.
That's true. That's true. I have missed our Commanders together, William. I did drink a dry bottle of wine though. So it helped.
I'm glad that we got to episode 20 as well, because I had a lot of people telling me like, how are you guys going to get to episode 5? Do you guys have enough things to talk about? Episode 10, do you guys have enough things to talk about? And here we are 20 episodes in and we're still blabbing about shit we don't know
Let's
anything
go.
about.
So just a quick like fill in. So
Back
again,
on topic.
The Cheetah Tom lent me a deck today, and then it was like a pre-con, right?
It was the pre-con Eldrazi from the recent set.
I was
Yeah.
like, this is not really a
Oh,
pre-con.
I walked over and you had like 7 more mana than anyone else.
I was like, what the heck? It is not pre-con.
Sorry to anyone who doesn't actually play fucking Magic, but you know, whatever. Just play Warhammer and Magic. Just do both. I don't know what you want me to tell you, all right? William had a 10-10 that just taps and makes another 10-10. and it's got vigilance. So you can swing it with it every turn, and then it just taps and make another 10-10. What the fuck is that? What the fuck are they coming up with?
The commander deck
Man.
was good, man.
And then
I don't wanna kill you.
the commander triggers it twice.
Yes, he's got 2 10-10s.
Yeah.
At some point, he put an Eldrazi conscription, and Eldrazi conscription is like an older card, which has a thing called Annihilator. And Annihilator is like, it's like, if you don't play Magic, I don't know what do you want me to fucking tell you, right? But like,
It destroys you.
You have a bunch of cards. Annihilator, when you swing at someone, they have to sacrifice their permanents, and you only have so many fucking permanents on the deck. So
It's a win more.
William has a fucking 10-10 with an Eldrazi conscription,
And a copy
which gives
it.
another 10-10, and then has a copy of that. So it has 2 times 10-10s plus Annihilator 4. I was like, all
William's
right.
showing up to the schoolyard and he's
Fucking
bullying kids.
calm down.
I was like, string 30 a Danny.
Really, it's a PSA. It's a PSA because like the Eldrazi decks are always going to be really strong. So if you have a mate of yours that are interested in playing Eldrazi, don't let them. You're like, no, stop.
It's
like slivers, right?
About a month or a half ago, I tried to organize a thing with a couple of other friends. My mate Connor, my mate Tom, and my mate Scoo, right? Scoo comes to the club as well. Every now and again, I'll get a Friday free, and Tom works on the mines, so he comes back on a Thursday, so he's free on a Friday before he picks his kids up. And Connor also doesn't work on a Friday. So I was like, I will try and organize to do things with my mates every second Friday. I've managed to pull it off once in 2 months, right? To do this. But that one weekend we played when the Eldrazi deck came out, we played Commander like 3 or 4 times during the day. And Tom was not in any way possible to pull off anything that you did with that deck. So while the deck I think is busted, William, I think it's just because you know how to play the fucking game, and Tom has no idea what's going on.
I was like, this deck is so broken. Like I did like I think I played like a small drowsy. Like whenever you play a color spell, and then you deal damage, and then it triggers twice, and then I made like 8 tokens, and then deals like 18 damage, and then like it just goes off.
As casual as Commander is as a format, Magic the Gathering Commander, it's still heavily pilot based, and a better player will still perform better. At the end of the day, it's still a card game. Actually, this is a good conversation pivot point because now we're actually back on topic. We're back talking about hobby. Yes, we got to put a coaster on the deal. Good point. Don't want an incident like last time. But of all the card games that exist out there, what would you consider the most complicated card game or the most complex? I've had this debate with a few people where we're talking about the complexities of card games because obviously you have on the lower side of things.
It has to be Magic, right? Surely.
So
I think Magic has the weight of like 30 years, right? That's where the complexity comes in.
I only played Magic, like One Piece.
Because we talk about One Piece being accessible, so I would put One Piece at a lower difficulty level. Not to discredit the game.
Definitely.
I think One Piece.
One Piece is very non-interactive. It's very phase based. Like you do this in a certain phase, and that's it.
I think One Piece has a lot of setup and execute, and One Piece has a lot of like complex knowledge in knowing metagame knowledge as well, pairing knowledge. But then you compare like what would you consider like a not complicated card game? Like recently we've had Disney Lorcana, which is would you consider Pokemon
is very complex.
I don't think it's complex at all.
All right. So you have not seen.
I think it suffers because I think it would be more popular if it was more complex.
No. So like competitive Pokemon, just take a view on like YouTube. Like look at the videos on how to play.
A lot of the complexity also come in is how much of that complexity comes in deck building or how much comes in piloting.
So pretty much like a lot of the top decks, right, play one-offs. All right. So what it does is a lot of like Pokemon cards are tutors. Like tutors means search your library for a card and put it into play or you put it into your hand. So the good like top like Pokemon decks, they play like maybe 1 or 2 like energies. Like, you know, like energies is like mana, right?
Yeah.
So they only play like
the
2,
resource.
like if they play a Charizard deck, they only play like maybe 4.
So they're going wide on colors?
Yeah, no, not wide. They just play like different energies.
Right.
Basically, you're doing what you can with just 4.
Yeah, just 4 because you can tutor them. So the whole time in playing Pokemon,
is that
it's just
difficult
tutoring.
to pilot or is it difficult for deck building?
Very difficult to pilot.
Right.
It's like you need to tutor. Like,
Have you guys ever
a
played
lot.
Yu-Gi-Oh?
Oh,
Because I've heard
I haven't
arguments
played.
that Yu-Gi-Oh is also a very complicated game, but a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh comes in like the execution of deck building.
I think Yu-Gi-Oh is complicated though because the build, like, it's not constructed well. I think Magic is complex because you have a lot of different cards with a lot of different rules and a lot of
I think
different, like,
Magic
special rules.
succeeds as a resource management game too.
Whereas Yu-Gi-Oh has a lot of like black holes of information. So you'll be like, well, how does this interact with this? and there's just no answer.
Magic
So-
is stacks.
Yeah.
So it's on the stack, right?
And then like Flesh and Blood, I also consider quite a high
Oh,
complexity
yeah,
card
Yeah,
game.
but that's complex. I feel like that's
piloting
I tried to
complexity.
play one Flesh and Blood with the regulars on Monday, and I realized very quickly, while I very much like the game, unless I have the time to think about this outside of right now, I'm not going to get any better.
Yeah.
Like I needed to sit down the day before I played the game and think about how is my deck going to interact. I need to understand how the other people's decks interact with themselves, and then they interact with me. It's a smart person game.
It's both a boon and a con, right? For the card game, because it's for the people that are really, really good at it, you get a lot of expression of skill. But the people that also want to get into Flesh and Blood, we've seen a thing where it's tricky for new players to really break into the format. While Flesh and Blood have a lot of complexity, so it not only is because each card Flesh and Blood is you play 3 of a card, right? You can have 3 of a card, but also it comes in 3 colors. So you can have up to 9 variants of a card, and the deck building complexity comes in knowing the balance of how many cards to put in your deck. And One Piece decks are quite large as well, and the rounds go for 50 minutes. So oftentimes you can play through quite a long time. So much so that the piloting of the deck and the deck building side is both very, very complicated. There's this whole thing in Flesh and Blood where because your cards are your resources, and when you spend your cards for resources, they go to the bottom of your library. And eventually, if the game goes long enough, you're going to see the cards that you pitched for resource. And if you've done it correctly, you'll stack your deck in a certain way. There's so much levels of complexity there in piloting that.
Absolutely.
The Magic the Gathering player, it's like, bro, I just play lands and play cards. What do you want from me?
Yeah, exactly.
But that being said, not to discredit Magic the Gathering, I think Magic the Gathering's complexity comes in the fact that it's 30 years worth of cards. Magic's deck building comes in like, how do you know what cards and the balance of cards you put in? And then the piloting comes in more of a resource management system.
So I think the whole merry-go-round thing, right, with the deck goes with One Piece as well. So I've done a couple of times where I've seen my best cards going down with One Piece, and then I played long enough and to see those cards again
come through.
at the end of the game, which is what you need.
Well, that memory and paying attention to what's going on, like resource management, all that stuff is like super important there. Right?
Correct.
So let's start fights. Let's rate it. What's number 1? What's the hardest card game out there?
Well, I only can rate it based on
If you
cards.
had to choose one, what's the hardest card game?
Okay, I can only go by what I played, but I think Flesh and Blood was easily the most complex.
I
by
think-
far.
I think Flesh and
I'm
Blood
super impressed
had
with the guys
won.
that can do that well.
Correct.
But I think
Who's the fella that wins most of the events here?
here we have a fellow by Liam Bennett.
Liam Bennett, that's it, right? Super impressive. Like I've seen him time after time. Our set comes out, and then like certain because the Flesh and Blood way they ban things is very interesting. Like if a deck or a like a character
Based off a legend. So it's called the living legend system.
if that wins too many events or however the fuck it works, it's like they ban that one out. So then it forces you to the next one. So to see him like continually grow and like learn new events, decks, and then but really important to also learn every other person's deck really well. It's like you can see the commitment there is super impressive. And
Actually, you make a good point, right? So there is good deck building, and then there is good piloting. But really, a classic hallmark of an actually impressive like pro player is someone that can pioneer decks, someone that goes in the forefront of when a new set comes out and they know how to assess cards and build decks. And really, they are the
is the meta.
pioneers. They are the pioneers of metagames, right? And that's a sign of like real Hall of Fame Magic players where they'll go out their way and they'll design decks without looking at extra influences, and they know how to pioneer new ideas.
well, the thing is like by paper, a deck can be better. A deck can be better than like, a new set comes out. A previous deck can be better than a new set that comes out. But it's not about what deck is better. It's about you going to that tournament. If you can catch people off guard and they're not prepared, it doesn't even matter if your new deck is not as good as the previous deck. If you can catch them at that tournament and you win that tournament and you get your like accolades and your prizes and your points for the league or whatever it is you're doing, if you can get those just because you've managed to catch them off guard with something that's like,
Because you can be a very good
to
you can
go.
be a great card game player. You can be a great pilot of decks. And then all you're really doing is looking at what decks are winning events and just get really good at piloting it. But if you're never going any way that you design decks, I wouldn't consider you as a top level pro player.
absolutely, yeah.
So we have Flesh and Blood, number 1.
For me,
I
like,
would
of games
closely
I've played, I think,
I would closely underneath it actually put Magic the Gathering.
Oh, of course.
I actually still consider Magic the Gathering as a high complexity card game due to the level of interaction because I'm interacting on my opponent's turns.
I think what's important about Magic is like when you get to the really high end level, the understanding of the stack and how those things actually interact with each other is super important. Because even me,
The
who's played for
timings
more than
as well.
15 years now, I will do something and then a player will be like, that's not how that works. And I'm like, are you sure? And then we have to go together and we have to figure it out. And like, in a casual setting like Commander, where you've got 4 players, like that, how those things interact with each other, you're like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know how that worked. But at a competitive level, if you fuck that up, it's a matter of like life or death. It's like whether you're going to win or lose that game, and whether you're going to win that round. And like, if you get those stacks incorrect, and there's so many hundreds of special rules that have to interact with each other, if you don't perfectly understand how this works, you can find yourself in
and
a
lot
state
of like
that will cost
real
you
key
a whole
moments
event.
can happen on like that direct interaction level. Actually, a classic example. Sorry, you go ahead, Danny.
Well, you were playing with Vow today,
Correct.
and he was playing with the Initiative,
Yeah.
which is the thing that was brought in by
Dungeons and Dragons.
The Dungeons and Dragons Commander set, right? And it's like very much considered to be
Not for a 1v1 Magic.
Yes, it's
Correct.
brought in for the casual players who are playing D&D, like sidelong Magic the Gathering, where they add in like things like bards and dragons and cool stuff like this, right? And all of a sudden, now it's being brought into the competitive side of it, and it's having massive ramifications on how 1v1 works. And it's about like smart players who can come up with really interesting ways to use what was designed for a casual setting to manipulate it and force it into the 1v1 like opponent, and like essentially just fuck your shit up, Kang.
Yeah.
Like it's like
The initiative is really strong in
It
1v1
is.
Magic.
That's why it's pointed in 7 point, right?
Yeah, it's
Is it
pointed,
really?
it's pointed
Yeah.
a lot.
It's every white card that has initiative is pointed.
Yeah.
interesting.
And they
Every
still-
white and red.
And
sorry.
they're still considering like a watch list on
just
it.
pushing us up more.
Because the deck that won the winner duel, like all the deck that's really topping a lot of events at the moment is still initiative.
yeah.
crazy.
But anyway, that's off track at the moment now. This is a classic example of like the level of knowledge required for Magic the Gathering and just the weird interactions and stuff. There's the classic example of let's say I have a Tarmogoyf, which is a green creature in Magic the Gathering that says for every card type that exists in the graveyard, it gets a +1/+1, right?
A classic competitive
Classic
card.
hallmark of competitive Magic the Gathering, the Tarmogoyf. There's no instance in the graveyard, but at the moment it is a 2/3. My opponent goes to Lightning Bolt, my 2/3 Tarmogoyf. What happens?
It's still on the stack, so it's currently not in the graveyard, right?
No, it once it's
So
resolved.
let's say in the graveyard right now, there's only 3 card types. Let's say it's land, creature, sorcery. Instance not in the graveyard yet. I have 3 types that exist in the graveyard. My Tarmogoyf is a 2/3. My opponent plays a card called Lightning Bolt, which is an instant speed card that says deal 3 damage to my Tarmogoyf. My Tarmogoyf is currently a 2/3.
My
What
natural
happens?
reaction would say that it's taking 3 damage, so it dies. But does it have a chance in the phase to resolve to get the extra?
So it's the classic
One up on the
example
back?
of like the Tarmogoyf.
it won't die.
It won't die.
Yeah.
So what happens is the immediate state-based action, you play a card, instance has appeared in the graveyard, and my Tarmogoyf is now 3/4.
Interesting. So the damage is dealt to the creature after
Yeah.
before after the card hits the graveyard.
Correct.
Then
Yeah.
interesting. So I wouldn't know that. I would have guessed.
So
incorrectly
because
there.
it's resolved, it goes in the graveyard straight
And
away.
I had this, and it's one of those situations where this is a common example. Like most competitive card gamers have heard of this example, but even still, it catches people off guard. I was in a tournament once against one of our fellow 7 point players, Barbara, and she went to go Lightning Bolt my 2/3 Tarmogoyf. And I had to explain to her my Tarmogoyf survives. That's just like, for example, because of Magic the Gathering being such a long game and such a nuanced rule system. That's why I consider Magic still high level
So
complexity.
I feel like in Magic, like you have stack, you have priority,
Yeah.
and then the next level is called layering.
Yeah, layering is a whole different system.
Layering is like no one expects layering.
It's one of those things where you just call a judge over. And
Yeah,
ask
pretty
them to
much.
smash it.
That's what I'll turn around to Matt and be like, "Hey Matt, please help me."
So layering is like the worst. I still don't understand, like especially when you have like Blood Moon and Yavimaya, the creator of
It's
Growth,
basically
in play.
certain rules have certain priorities over each other. So
whichever come first
'Cause, like,
still
the-
maintains.
I don't. This isn't a layering question, but for example, the classic example of I have a Yawgmoth. What's the land that turns everything to black?
Urbok.
Urbog. I have an Urbog and I have a Blood Moon. What happens?
So you still swarm because it depends which comes first, right?
I can't remember the. I can't remember the answer, but I think
Does it depend on whose turn it is, or
No,
depends?
no.
I
It
think
depends
Blood
which
Moon
comes
wins. I
first.
think Blood Moon wins because it turns your Urbog into a mountain.
Depending on
Because Urbox
which
is
comes
everything is
first.
also a swamp. So then the
This is a terrible podcast for people that don't play Magic.
it's also for people who do play Magic who understand this rule properly.
Yeah. We have like 2 listeners right now nodding their head. They're like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, sick.
All right. So back to the topic.
All right. So
We're turning a big round.
So this is when it gets complicated now. Under Magic the Gathering, for example, let's name. So we have One Piece, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh. What comes next?
I think Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, and Disney Locana, sure, as well. And Sorcery. There's so many card games now.
So I'll put Yu-Gi-Oh, and then
So you
For
put
peop-
Yu-Gi-Oh underneath that?
No, underneath like Magic, and then
Right.
I would say like Pokemon and One Piece.
Wait, hold on. We're gonna throw in a wild card. Uno.
Ooh.
Well, Uno has new one, No Mercy. Have you seen it?
What's Uno No Mercy? Isn't it just regular Uno, bro?
No, it's like No Mercy. You got like draw 7 or draw 30 or something like that.
That, you know what that is? That's just there was a game of Uno happening here at Northern Boards once, and while the people weren't paying attention, I grabbed the Uno deck and I rigged the shuffle. So one of the guys drew like 17 cards.
I feel like making someone draw 30 is just a way for them to sell more packs of Uno. Because you gotta have
stack
more
the deck.
packs of Unos, right? You gotta have 4 packs.
Uno
to
No
play the
Mercy
game.
just sounds like that game is gonna go forever.
No,
If you
because
play-
everybody has just using power cards.
Now, if you guys ever played like Uno with like real card gamers that are determined to win, that Uno games goes on forever.
Forever, yeah.
I got it in response to your +2 with my +2.
Do you know they've banned that? You can't +2 or 2. They did it this year. Like I remember seeing it in
No Mercy allows
Is
it.
Uno a real card game?
Yeah,
They're having
it has,
erratas to
the crazy
rules?
bit is it has real rules. Yeah.
All right,
But
so
no one
that's- So we're
follows.
chucking Uno as a wild card in there. Okay, what's after Magic the Gathering? Yu-Gi-Oh?
I'll say
You
Yu-Gi-Oh.
reckon? I tend to agree.
Do you remember? When's the last time you played a game of Yu-Gi-Oh?
I never played Yu-Gi-Oh before.
What the fuck? How are you rating it?
I've seen the complexity.
Yeah, I
of
get
it.
it.
fair enough.
Last time I played Yu-Gi-Oh was when I was in high school, probably, right? And then,
I played at the kids' junior championships at Toy World.
Oh, hell yeah,
I
dude.
wasn't. It wasn't real. It was, we were all
Can we
terrible.
add Beyblade into it?
no, baby doesn't count. It's not a card game.
Alright.
Oh, if there's boys playing, you know,
Whoa,
like,
whoa, whoa! What
you know,
about
like-
poker?
Poker, number 1, baby, hardest card game out there. Let's go.
Because it's all money, right?
High
The,
risk.
the
baby.
boys like Connor and Mahayon and stuff like that, they came through the other day and they had their Beyblades.
No, we're not rating Beyblade on the scale. This is my scale. This is my tier list. But I've watched a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh games, and every time I watch it, I'm just dumbfounded by the.
I wonder-
There's so many things firing off. There's so many back and forth interactions.
If Optimus Gaming has Yu-Gi-Oh,
Stop shouting out Optimus Gaming, William.
what
Thank you for the sponsor.
Why do you love Optimus Gaming so much?
Have you got like secret shares in Optimus fucking
What is
Gaming?
going on? All right, and underneath.
Imperial Numismatics.
Thank you, John. Imperial
Sponsored.
Numismatics. Underneath Yu-Gi-Oh, what's next? This is where it's
Maybe like Pokemon One Piece.
So you're
What would
saying
you-
One
no, you
Piece
have-
is
you
pretty
have to
low
vote
on the
one.
complexity
You have to
scale.
vote.
It's
You
not.
have to
It's
vote
not
one.
complex. I would say that like I said again, like many podcasts ago, like One Piece is a very easy game to
the
understand,
floor is low.
but the ceiling is high. Like to master it is hard.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about floor anymore. We're talking about ceiling. We're
Have
talking
you
about
played that Star
complexity.
Wars game that's out?
No, not yet.
You played it?
I want to though.
I heard it's good.
I've actually ordered some Star Wars product for Northern Boards, so I actually might give it a go.
I heard it's good
I've heard it has a lot of new introduced like
because like
systems for
you
card
play in
games.
space and you play on ground.
Who's the distributor for that?
VR.
VR.
It is VR. They're the only ones who have it?
Yeah.
Is that weird?
No, because every other card game is so distributed.
Not
Disney
Magic.
Disney Lorcana's or not Magic, but not the big three. But for example, Modern Brands is the only distributor for Disney Lorcana.
Because they have Ravensburger stuff.
yeah, and then for example, Sorcery is only through AIE.
That Ravensburger thing is pretty interesting because like they're traditionally just a
Puzzle.
company, right? But big, like fucking big.
Very big.
I didn't realize it. I popped into a I did this as like a little bit of like industry like a fucking study, right? I went into a Red Cross like a salvo shop,
Sure.
and I just looked at all the puzzles they got there. They were all Ravensburgers, and I was like, all right, I'm done here.
Can you imagine being a new and budding like puzzle company? Like we're gonna jump in and make puzzles, and then Ravensburger's like, not today,
Yeah,
bitch.
that classic like Games Workshop meme where they send like the lawyers in like drop ships to like.
What would you
to
rate as
fend
the
them off.
lowest? Like, because we're talking complexity, we're talking skill ceilings. Like, as the highest can get, what is the lowest? What has the
Lowest?
lowest potential? We're gonna start fights.
Oh, not sure.
Let us know if you disagree.
Who
with
do you
that.
want to shit on?
Yeah, let us know if you disagree with us.
I didn't play so many card games though.
Yeah, I haven't had the time to play much.
What is the lowest?
outside of
Name one,
Magic.
William.
The easiest?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Snap.
What?
I haven't played. I play Magic.
Yeah.
That's it. I play
Yeah.
Magic. What do you want?
I just really wanted some of you guys to name Lorcana, so I can say like, so you think Uno's harder?
I also haven't played Lorcana. I actually haven't played
Lorcana
Lorcana.
is not easy though.
Lorcana is actually pretty
so
hard.
because Lorcana is like something like Flesh and Blood. Because when you put your resource right,
Mm.
and if you put your card down, you can't look at it anymore, right? So you need to pretty much remember what you have put down, and then you have to count your cards in the
Interesting.
deck.
I didn't know that. So once you put it down, you don't have access to that card anymore.
No, and you can't see
All
it.
right, you say that, but also theoretically, in a tournament environment, you just take notes.
You can't.
I guess no one's stopping you. I guess
Locana,
have
you
a
can't. No,
notepad.
like One Piece, you can't take notes.
Is that a rule?
Yeah,
An actual rule?
Yes, it's in the judge rule. You can't take notes. You can't mark down stuff.
It's not that hard to remember what cards face down.
No, it is. 100. Yeah.
Bro, if you have like 7 cards down, it's
Have
hard.
you ever played like a morph deck for Commander? No, man. I can't. I have no
yeah.
idea what's going on. I'll check that thing like
In
12
a real
times.
tournament environment, when I'm actually like trying to focus,
Only-
it's not hard to remember.
I feel
It's not hard to remember like 6 to 7 things.
I can't
Japanese-
remember what I did like 17 minutes
Japanese
ago.
card games don't allow you to mark like write down notes. But like Magic,
sense. It's an
Magic
expression of
is the
skill.
only one that allows. I think I'm not sure if Flash and Blood allows.
Not sure.
No, because
I didn't realize that was like a rule, like a thing that was like specifically ruled on.
yeah, there is like in One Piece, in one of the rules says no note taking allowed.
Okay, so
at
you
any-
say turning your card. So you basically in Locana, because your cards are also your resource. If you want to use your card as a resource, you put it face down on your board, similar to Magic, where you play a land. You play your card into the inkwell, and now you have a face down card to use as a resource. Every turn you play,
you have to reveal it first.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily a complex strategy.
No, because
Right.
you lose one card. Like if
Sure,
you
but
play
you're running,
max
you're
4,
running
right?
4 ofs, right?
Yeah.
So it's not
so
like
you
you're
lose one. So you need to know, like if you're playing like a combo deck, you need to know how many there is still in your deck.
I think the complexities of Disney Locana come from the fact that it's because similar to One Piece, it's a set and then let your turn go. So
Correct.
you're really planning ahead your turnings.
Well, as the resident ADHD flop, I have no RAM. I have 0 RAM.
Yeah.
No random access memory.
Yeah.
So I
Brain
have
RAM.
just literally 0 short-term memory. So as the second I put that card down, there's no way my brain remembers what that is. So I'd be terrible at that game. Terrible.
I want to quickly touch back to Magic the Gathering as well. So in Magic the Gathering, there's a key flaw in the game design, which is the lands, right? The resource management.
Yeah.
Because it's a random draw of your lands. The better players, the more competent players you'll find, the more the player is actually able to mitigate the downsides of whether the top deck. You really want to be putting yourself in positions when you're playing the game of, if I'm on the top of my deck, if I draw a land, what is my plan? If I don't draw a land, what is my plan? And especially now with so many resources and ways of me playing on top of your library now, I actually think that land screw effect is mitigated a lot less now.
In high-end Magic, absolutely. And I think once you play competitive like Highlander, the mulligan where you choose to not start your hand is really important. Like in a casual play, people are like, oh, I've got 2 or 3 lands. Like, that's fine. I'll figure it out. But in competitive play, you're like, what is my turn 1, 2, 3 with this hand? Is it good? Is it bad? If it's not, it doesn't even matter if I have 4 lands, but no turn 1 play. I still mulligan.
Yeah.
Like,
What
if
are my
you're good-
responses? Because Magic is played in a best of 3 format, after game 1, you'll go to game 2. So you'll know what your deck you're
Even
playing.
sometimes, like, you'll know when you're sitting across from a player, like I'm playing Will, I'm like playing Will's lands deck. This starting hand is no good against this lands deck.
Yeah.
So I will choose to activate. And, maybe William today is playing a different deck and I'm like, oh, fuck, I chose wrong, whatever. But it's like the more information you can use to make your active decisions will make you a better or worse player. And like some people will go into these competitive formats and they'll wing it and that's fine. They'll still have fun. They'll still hang out and do those things. But like the person who's done the hard work and the research just has that little bit of edge over their opponents.
I've been back touching it a bit on competitive Magic, and I'm actually finding myself enjoying it. I went through a long period of quite a lot of hobby burnout, and I'm kind of feeling it a little bit more.
I like that from you, Kang. Like I never want to force anyone into it, especially
Welcome
like
back.
people that are part of the team. But it's hard because you do get so much burnout. And the thing is, because so many people want to tell you their exciting story and their information and their opinion on something, it's easy to get burnout on something that you enjoy because you're kind of like doing it even when you're not doing it. Like you're doing Magic all day long because people are talking.
So
about Magic.
I'm not gonna name names because obviously it's probably silly. I don't know if they want to be known or not. But I was in another hobby store recently, and I was talking to the manager, and we got into the conversation of hobby burnout, and I really wanted to know like how he's feeling about burnout, and he was in the same situation where he was like, I'm completely burnt out. Like I don't care about any of the games I play currently. So
Yeah, and I think that's one of the parts of being in the hobby store, and that's one of the things when we, the whole point of this fucking podcast is that we can talk about guys who work in the hobby sphere, right? And that is a big thing for us. Is like, William, you open 1 billion packs. You probably don't give a fuck about opening packs anymore.
yeah, guys, take breaks in your hobby. Like you don't want to find yourself in a position where the hobby is the only thing you're doing, and then you
How
will
on
burn out.
earth are you gonna be taking breaks when they release products every single week?
Yeah,
You run a
can't-
business,
You
so
can't
you
really
can't
take
stop.
breaks from it.
I
Well,
was
we
like-
also run a
Well,
business.
that's why I went through so much burnout for all the hobbies I'm going, and I think I've gotten better at knowing when to manage it now. Like I touch upon my games here and there when I find the time to, and I know how to manage that balance a bit more of like not trying to burn myself out now.
Yeah.
So
And I'm really lucky that I'm so busy. Like I'm busy with work, I'm busy with hobby, I'm busy with everything that's part of the club, the restaurant, the trucks. And it's lucky for me that I don't ever get burnt out or any of these things. Like I'm never really, even if I spend 16, 17 hours on the truck, I come in here and I can manage something with the club and I can manage something with the restaurant and I can move from one section to the next and I'm not getting too stuck on one thing and getting rid of a nightmare. And I'm pretty lucky with that. I'm a little bit like overstretched and burnt out on or just everything in general, but it means I don't get over that. And say, if I had the option, I would probably, if I had free time, I'd probably just play cards with my mates for 3 months and then never want to touch cards ever again in my entire fucking life, you know? And because I don't have that.
go on long service leave for your hobby.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's like I don't have that. It means every opportunity that I get to sit down with with friends or people from the club or the other day, I've just built after all these months since even before we started this podcast 20 weeks ago, I was trying to build a Sauron fucking deck to put in my my deck box that Mark printed out for me. In the end, the deck is too thick and it doesn't fit in the fucking deck box.
Yeah, we're talking about the custom deck box. We had a customer today, a regular of ours. He bought the
he bit the bin?
Yeah, he bought the bin.
Yeah,
he bought like
nice.
it's one of those skip bins,
Yeah.
deck boxes, and he's like
The bin chicken box.
It's gonna go for a raccoon commander. So the idea is obviously raccoons are kind of like trash monsters, dig
Oh,
through trash.
that's
That'll be good for like Bloom Barrel next week.
Correct, for Bloomberg
That's
coming out.
so smart.
And the idea is they're gonna like graffiti bomb the bin and put stickers all over it.
And
my-
that's next week, bro.
Can you name who it was or you don't want to?
I don't want to. I'd rather ask permission for people before. they drop
Well, make sure you get, once he's done it, get a photo so we can post it up.
I think
That's
it'd be cool.
gas.
Do you know that Bloom Barrel
next week.
is next week?
Next week.
Nightmare.
Welcome
So many
to
things.
True living nightmare.
Welcome to a business of
The
card
craziest bit is there's so many spoilers for Duskmorn and Blame Bro's not even out yet.
Yeah. So someone in Twitter mentioned, I think it's a pro player. Like, I think he's so burnt out. And then one of the what he was saying that he was getting like, I'm getting burnt out because of not because of like the game. Like, it's just getting like bukkake on the number of products.
right on the face.
Secret layer release.
That could be our
this.
promo video for this week. As me is like you standing. I'll kneel down in front of you, William, and we'll go from a back shot, and you can just throw cards at my face. All right.
So many products.
Also,
though.
recently
so
at Northern
many.
Boards, as a hobby club, we've just picked up so many new card games recently as well.
Yeah.
So we're feeling the releases. Like it's been a great time, and I'm enjoying it. And I love all the new people in the community. But like, it'll be like every 2 weeks now. I'm like, hey Danny, get ready, new release.
Yeah, my poor singular credit card is like.
It's crazy the amount of products. So. Yeah, we're talking about Lego and went into Magic. I don't know
It's
how.
all hobby. It's all Northern Boards. Talking about hobby.
Wait, you tried to start the Lego conversation like an hour ago.
Yeah, we hard pivoted away. Man. So another thing I've been really enjoying is getting back into painting. You know what's funny is that the painting and like side of the hobby doesn't seem to give me as much burnout. It doesn't feel like I'm playing a game or
Because
burning
you're
out
not doing
it's a skill set development, right?
You're not doing like painting is very different though.
Yeah.
Painting is like a journey.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing it like a job. If you're painting like commissions, it's different. So
And you get to experience it on your own in your own time.
Yeah.
Correct, my own terms.
The difference, like for us being in a club, and I'm sure you get it very similar, Will. Like I'm sure at Eternal Magic, which is the online website where you sell cards, where you've got a very robust, complex, very good website to sell cards. I'm sure you get people being like, "Hey, have you got this card?" And you're like, "I don't know, bro. Check the website." Like, I'm sure that's experience your experience.
William had this exact situation when he walked in today. Because William walked up to me and I was talking about how there's a person walked in the store and he was like, hey, I'm looking to pick up an order from Eternal Magic. When he ordered it like 2 hours ago.
I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, while William's driving on the way here. Yeah. And I think it's the thing is like because the same as like if I'm doing a hobby here, I'm usually involved a number of other people. Like if I'm building a deck or if I'm playing a game of fantasy, it's not just my game, it's everybody's game. And I'm happy, I'm super happy to have other people involved and I love that. But what that means is you don't really get to hold that hobby's not really yours, it's everybody's. And and I'm totally fine with that. But the difference with painting is like you're in your house and you're doing it on your own time.
You're right.
You listen to your music, you're watching your TV show and you're painting on the side and you get to hold that to yourself. And I think that's very singular as somebody who works in like a hobby club like this. Like you get to maintain that unless you choose to do your painting here in the store and then you're sharing it again.
Well,
you know?
talking about painting as well, this is a topic that I wanted to bring up a few episodes back. Me and a few friends of ours we've recently kind of wanted to dive into that more competitive side of painting. Obviously, we have Iron Signet coming up in a few
Yeah,
months.
yes.
Iron Signet is a annual paint competition in WA where honestly some of the best painters in the entire state come around and submit for Iron Signet. I was really, really excited because I submitted for Iron Signet once, kind of out of the blue, and I got a bronze medal out of it.
What, your vampire guy or female was very
I
cool.
wouldn't call it that. I wouldn't sing praises for it because a lot of people got bronzes.
but it was still very cool.
It was really cool to go in a competition and get some feedback and receive like an award, an accolade of some kind. And a part of my brain ticked over was like, oh, I want to do more paint competitions. This year they're doing a new category called group submissions, where you and a few people are able to submit together as a group, like a piece. I think it was a lot of fun. Whether we commit or not is a whole different story. But me, a resident painter of ours, Eli, he's a very good painter. He's a commission painter.
Eli has painted half of my goblins. So if you listen to Eli, paint the rest of my
joining
fucking
the
goblins,
group.
all right?
Yeah.
I'm joining the group this year.
You're doing it as well?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, we'll talk about yours in a second. And then it was me, Eli, and also one of our resident, very, very talented painters, Sean. We were going to do a group submission. We were really debating back and forth. You would like this idea, William. There's in Warhammer 40,000, there's this idea of the cult of speed for orcs.
Ooh.
Yeah, so like there's called speed freaks. There's all about these like Mad Max crazy vehicles and buggies and this obsession with speed, going as fast as possible. We wanted to do a diorama piece, which was like an orc, like super souped up, like dragster vehicle. Next to it is maybe like another really fast thing, like a Drukhari, right? Drukhari are known for like their pirate ships ratings. Yeah, so they had a drag strip they're racing. It's Drukhari, it's orcs, and then it's Don Toretto from Fast and Furious.
Oh, let's go!
Family.
Family.
So there's
We thought it was
obviously no
hell-fighting.
rules on
Yeah.
what minis you're using for
Correct.
the
It's
thing.
not it's not necessarily Warhammer. It's open.
Yeah, open.
Iron Signet is open for anything, right? I just thought it was very funny that we could have Warhammer 40,000 and we have Fast and Furious number 72, and it's in the Warhammer universe, and Vin Diesel's here trying to race.
It's Fast and Furious 40,000.
Episode 40,000 of Fast and Furious. Don Toretto doesn't know why he's here, but he knows he has to
he is
race.
here, yeah.
He has to go fast.
He has
for
family to save. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm committed to this group thing.
Well, we have a few
Yeah.
Golden Demon winners here in WA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So there could be a power team.
Who are you with?
there.
I need to know if we have a chance at all. William, you are with team. Okay.
So I think it's with my friends of like painters.
Sure.
So, yeah.
How many?
5 of us. I think.
5 of us? All right. Who are the painters? So it's you. It's William. It's
So it's like Josh, June,
Yep. Oh my
Aiden,
God.
and
Oh my-
Joshua.
oh my god.
Some are like, not everyone's going to know who their names are, but some of them are very competent,
Very
very,
complicated,
well known, very well social media'd.
Isn't Aiden a
painters.
Golden Demon winner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is.
Oh yeah. Cool. So we have us 3 bozos, hobbyist painters, you know,
So I'm like the
painting
plat-
our stupid orcs on a drag strip, and over there they're making a fucking Mona Lisa.
Are you riding on some coattails there, are you,
Yeah,
William?
pretty much. I'm like, oh, I'm the blab.
Screw you, William. We're going for your medal.
So is it, like, you've got 5 people and you've got 3. Is there not some, like,
We haven't actually read the categories.
I think it's a max of like, I'm not sure if it's like 5 or 6 or we're going to split. I'm not sure what we're doing.
I think the challenge of that whole group submission is coordinating everyone, because everyone has
Yes.
such unique paint styles and ideas. Coordinating painters sounds like the hardest part.
will Dino be back from Europe by then? Or he's,
No. Dean's not going to be able to come, but that's why we just have it now.
And also, me, Eli, and Sean each have different paint styles.
do you guys want me on your team?
Yeah, go for it. We're gonna have fun with it.
yeah, it's all about fun now. Right? I'm having fun.
I've thought about hobbying.
Do you
a
want to
lot.
paint Vin Diesel?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I'll stand in front of a mirror and I'll just paint him how to look at me.
Yeah. Why does Minnie look suspiciously
I
like
actually
Danny?
started a new, because Instagram has just changed their regulations on, I used to be like a maximum of 5 additional accounts on Instagram you could have. So, it takes up by like Burger Boy and Northern Boards and Ryan and stuff like that. But they've just increased the number you could have. So I was like, ooh, a little bit ADHD. Like, maybe I'll start some more entrepreneurial decisions.
Yeah.
And so I started one called Higher Hobbies. And I just, all I did was like create a thing and like put the name on there. And there was
How do
nothing
you
on
have time to do social media
yeah.
too?
The secret is he doesn't.
it. It doesn't, yeah.
I was like, I was trying to do like a little bit of social media for like
Yeah.
the Eternal Magic, right? I just couldn't do it. Like,
The trick, like what I'm actually actually very good at it. Like I don't just like toot the horn, but I'm very good at like if I put the effort in and put the time in, I can get like significant impression off of the things that I do, but I don't have the time to do it for all of it. So what happens is I end up stopping between like the Boardcast, Northern Boards, Burger Boy, Black Sheep, and I'd never, if I had the time to do all of them and not drive the fucking truck all day long,
I'm just
be
gonna
great.
wait till AI comes out with like, hey, I just gotta type in. No,
it's like it can do work, but it doesn't not yet does it have the ability to like really hit the numbers that you want to get off of it. And the thing is, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and get a social media person who can do all of the 4 or 5 businesses. So if you're interested, William, I'm willing to like we can work something out where they can do it because it does.
You want to help out the Boardcast, Will? Eternal Magic shouts out the Boardcast.
For Eternal Magic as well, it's like the online presence is very important because it's an online website. So those 13,000, 15,000 impressions that you might get a day will lead to sales 100%. And you can do it at the cost of like $7 a day. And it's important. It's about consistency and it's about plethora. Like the quality of the advertising doesn't have to be good. It's about consistency.
Yeah.
And like eventually you'll get there. But if you don't have that consistency, like you do it for a week and then you stop for a week and then you start another week, you're starting from scratch right that second week, right? It's like, it has to be consistency.
So you're talking about AI, Will, and here's a fun theory. This is a theory that was pitched several decades ago. I can't remember the exact name of it. This is the terrible memory part of me kicking in. Death of the internet theory or like internet singularity theory, where the idea is that eventually as AI gets better and better and more AI and bots develop and kind of infest the internet is going to be so infested with bots that the chances of you interacting with a real human is like you every time you interact with something on the internet now, it's just going to be a bot.
I think that right now.
And you feel it now. You Google something now.
So
and
we
you
go
can feel it's all
down.
AI.
Yes.
We go back to basics then. You know, like the guys who like hold out the board in the middle of the road. That's the number one.
Yeah.
The Eagle Boys guy with the sign that he's spinning around.
Correct.
Pretty much
I feel like that
that's gonna
now.
work.
I know I've talked about this on the podcast before, but 10 years ago when I Googled something, you would get the answer. Now you Google something and you have to wade through like just a pile of shit to get to what you think may be the answer. And you can't trust that it's the answer.
Every single part of your internet now is through an algorithm. You're on YouTube, on Google, on Facebook, Instagram. Everything you do is an engagement-based algorithm to be like, get them in, feed them some information.
Instead of sending me the answer, it's sending me what it thinks I want to see. And that's not helpful. Here's
a really fun example, right? Here's we've all played video games before, and this is a great example. In the past, video games were not match made. You just throw yourself into a lobby and you play. Just think about the early Call of Duty days. You just go into a game. It's 12 of you guys versus 12 of you guys. Whether that team is better than you or whether you're better than them is completely random. And then recently, as games started getting developed, there's a thing called matchmaking, right? Where they try to pair someone of equal skill with you. That's called skill-based matchmaking. Now we're developing as algorithms have gotten better. There's a thing called engagement-based matchmaking, which is a dangerous idea. So I think it was originally pitched by Activision for Call of Duty, where the matchmaking is designed a certain way to try and get that person engaged more, to spend money more. So what they'll do, So what was for example, a new player going into a game, what they might do is they might pair you against someone that you die and you lose to a lot because they have more skins than you or they have better guns than you. So in your brain, you think that you should go out and buy that new gun or buy that new skin.
Why are they trying to fuck my kids up? What the fuck?
And then when you do buy the skin, they'll pay into a game where you do better. So
oh
you
my
get rewarded
God,
for
that's
it.
a fucking nightmare.
And it's called engagement-based matchmaking.
Whoa.
It's actually very, very common now, and it's very subtle. You don't notice as much, but it's very subtle and sneaking into a lot of game systems. And then engagement-based matchmaking, for example, like they'll put you into games where like, oh, if you've been losing a while, they'll try to get you win a couple more to try and get you back in.
Hey, that's like drugs, bro.
That is drugs. Honestly, that's a nightmare.
But it's no different than like, let's say you're scrolling Instagram and Instagram gets an idea of what you like and wants to feed you more things you like.
I've been trying to behave, but Instagram just thinks I want to see girls in gym shorts. And it's like, I'm like, come on, Instagram, stop. But
my Instagram is real set up because it keeps showing me gambling.
not car sim racing.
Yes, everything.
So the other day I was looking at Instagram. I saw this sim racing, and then he was playing Initial D, and I was like, "Oh,
listen, Skynet at this point now probably knows me better than me. Skynet knows me.
If there is a chance that I'm buying a sim, I'm gonna play Initial D. That's all I'm gonna play. Do you have that game? Does that game exist?
Not particularly.
does it exist?
All right, I gotta find out.
Are you interested? Are you interested in suddenly sim racing?
Well, if it's Initial D,
There you go. Well,
What is initial? What are you saying? What is initial D?
We just described it earlier.
Yeah,
It's a Japanese manga turned anime that was really popular.
the drifting one.
It's from before. Got it. Sorry.
All right, I'll show you the video later, so you can put it up on.
No, what you want the good
Instagram.
videos you should show is that after Initial D came out, there was a young the young bloods in Japan was trying to simulate that drift culture, and there's so many videos of like some 19-year-old kid tries to drift down the mountain, has their car like banked into a ditch, and you watch them come out of that car like, oh no, my parents will kill me.
Talking about mountains and drifting, I don't know if we ever touched on it again. I can't really remember, to be honest with you. But you talked about that Genting Mountain,
Yeah.
and you said there was nothing up there except for a fucking coffee shop.
No, it's a big resort.
There's like a whole fucking casino up there.
We
Yeah,
definitely
it's
mentioned
the only
this.
casino.
We definitely
We
did.
definitely
All
did.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just re-mentioning it because you're nonsense. Like it was. Like, I watched
It's
it,
a
like
resort,
a 30-minute
yeah.
video on stuff that's up there.
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's owned by the Lim family. Yeah, the only
He knows the family. He's
no,
in.
no, no, I don't know the family. I know like one of the grandson because he collects Legos.
Oh, it's all back to Lego.
okay.
Hey,
Back
oh, William's trying to sales me pitch back into Lego.
What's your favorite Lego kit ever?
Ooh, tough,
That's a good
tough.
question.
I have one.
What?
You go first.
So we like we've talked about this before. Like grew up quite like low, like not a lot of money, right? But my parents bought me one year for Christmas a cowboy setup one, and it had a little bank
That's
and
cool.
a general had a bank and a general
I think
store.
I can visualize it. I can almost see this.
And there was a little section where you'd put the dynamite slot in, and it would pop the bank like front open, and it would pop open. And I remember building it. It was in before my grandfather died. We lived in this they lived in a special house, and we lived in there together. That's when I taped the Star Warses that we talked about earlier. And I've just all my family was sitting around with me building this Lego together, and it was like such a core memory of like a good time when all my like grandparents were still alive and my family was together, and like it's just a good time. And this kid has such
William's
memories
going to
of me.
explode if he doesn't say
right.
to me.
Okay.
I was actually seeing how long I could vamp until he
two sets. Okay.
All right.
Number one.
He's greedy. He's
Space.
number two.
Space.
Yeah?
The old school space.
Which one?
with the blue helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old space. Okay.
Oh, the rocket ship?
Yeah. So number two. Pirates.
I know the one.
I had a pirate one as well.
So
yeah.
I like the base.
the
like-
little grey shark.
Yeah, the
with
gray
mouth?
shark, and then you have the what's it the soldiers, right? And the pirates. What is it called? The navy?
The
You know the good guys and then the pirates. What are those called? The good guys.
Not
The one with the
pirates.
long hat, the big tall hat.
like the Spanish ones or the
They're just like the
the
Navy,
British
right?
soldiers.
yeah, the British soldiers. Yeah, with
Yeah.
the
Red
long
coats.
hat. Yeah,
Red coats type thing?
yeah. So like
Yeah.
you have the pirates, and then that I like that. Side.
I know what you're talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
there were circles, right? The helmets were circles
Yeah,
and
so-
little thing on the front.
Yeah, no, like tall ones, and they were holding like the muskets.
Yes, yeah.
That's sad.
For me, as a kid, it was probably all those like all those ads of like Lego City. They really sucked me in as a kid.
Do you remember the thing at Joondalup Hospital? The Lego City in there. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Oh, at Joondalup Hospital, they had a big display of like Lego City, and it was like, it was like there was a race, like it was like a modern kids, and it was there was like but it was we're talking about like 15, 20 years ago now, and it had a big glass cabinet, maybe like 3 meters squared. And it was look at all these Lego kits, and it was like they'd created like a city with it, and there was like a race happening,
awesome.
and like all
That,
this cool
as
stuff.
a kid,
Hey.
you remember as a kid that would be the dream, right?
I
Having
wonder,
a full
I wonder
setup.
if it's still there
Nah, I don't think so.
But as an adult,
in the waiting room at Joondalup Shopping at the hospital.
Which hospital? Private or?
It'd be the entrance to the
Left or right?
the public hospital, I guess.
I think I went to the public one. No.
because the left or right? Because the left one is the public one. Right?
That's going to be the poll for this week. If you remember the Lego setup
Pictures on
at
Google.
Joondalup Hospital, let us know.
Yeah. So as a kid, it was.
I'm
probably,
going to go try find it.
As a kid, it was all the Lego City stuff that I really wanted as a child. I think as an adult, there's a Lego Batman cave.
Oh,
Yeah, it's really cool because there's a whole bunch of Easter eggs, and I love Batman.
Yes,
little
nice.
features. Also, it's hard not to be nostalgic for the Lego Star Wars stuff. I remember as a kid, my mate had a Lego X-wing, and I was so jealous of him. It was a whole nice setup.
yes, yeah.
It was around the time when Clone Wars came out.
That's it. William's
Revenge of
got
the
it.
Sith.
He's
Let's have
found
a
it on
look.
the internet.
Let's have a look.
Wait, it's still there?
Hello. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
Wait.
it's quite big.
Yeah.
It's got to be like about 2 to 3 square meters, like in space, of just like a big Lego setup.
You know, as a child,
13 years ago.
being the only child, I had to have a overactive imagination to keep myself from going insane.
You got to entertain yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have any siblings to do it, right? I had this whole thing where I had a lot of Lego as a child, and I would create my own universe and world. I had an ongoing lore. I had a whole universe that I created for my lore.
Oh, yeah, that's gas.
Everything, it was like I had maps drawn and layouts of everything. That was my house layout, and everything made sense, right? I had ships that were named after, like, inspired by the Halo style of ships. Like, it was like one of the ships was called the Saint of the Air. And this whole world was just based on like sky ships. Everything was flying around the air, and we had giant floating islands because that was the furniture or the islands. And we had giant bastions of like towns and cities that would lay around the house to the dismay of my parents. I had reasonable lore for why certain things were certain ways. Like, you know how you have the mountain ranges were the couches, for example. And you know how you have the blankets and the pillows and the couches would move around all the time. The idea was that in those mountain ranges, it was all shape-shifting, constantly shaping lands.
Well, like rocks. Cloud City, like it moves every time.
Yeah, well, the mountain faces were like constantly terraforming. The mountains would be like a mysterious labyrinth that people get lost in. And that was my explanations for the rugs and the mountains.
Your mum slapping your leg off the couch, just getting terraformed.
Yeah, but it was also like we had several rooms. I had nations formed of countries, and they would rival and war.
Oh, look at this director right here.
It's
one of these days I would love to actually like put it into like a narrative.
You
properly,
could see if you could turn it into like a modern day story. That'd be pretty fucking.
Young me was heavily influenced from a lot of different things. So the TV shows I watched and stuff. We're approaching like 2 hours at this rate, gentlemen. How do we feel?
Fuck, are you serious?
Yeah, we're at 1 hour 37 right now.
Oh, pretty good.
Strong.
It's a long one for episode 20. So
Lego is pretty good. I like Lego.
I'm glad that Lego has given the opportunity for children to express the imagination. Right. It's a do what you want with it.
That was their initial plan, was to like have kids do something constructive. I think it's funny though, because like the price tag of it has exceeded what their initial plans of what they wanted to do.
It's so expensive now.
It is super expensive, and I think that's part of like the hobby collective of like the hobby people, right? Is that the demand for it becomes higher, so these things they know they can charge more money for it, right? And
you know what's a good test?
Escalates from there.
You get a blank Lego set, because you can go to buy Lego kits where it's just the generic pieces. Give those generic pieces to your kid and see what they build. Maybe you get an insight into their mind.
Yeah. Have you seen the thing on the app on your phone where you can like scan you can like put a bunch of pieces out and you can scan it and it can come up with something that you've got, like that you can build out of it?
When I was young, all I did was make guns. I was very good at it as well.
I think I mentioned it briefly last time, but my friend James and we would play Age of Empires on the computer, but our parents only let us play Age of Empires for a certain period of time, like an hour at a time or something. So we would go back into the room and play Age of Empires with our Lego. So you'd make a little granary and you'd like have a little like a wall with your Legos.
But it was exact same for me, but I was only child. So I was imagining myself playing against myself.
But you were only child and you didn't have friends? What's going on?
No, my parents were just like real strict. They were just like, no, you're not going to see your parents. You're not going to see your friends only on the weekends or whatever.
Did you have to only hang out with other Chinese kids?
No, it was just my parents didn't like. So my parents, or my mom was like, was real like, hey, you're not going to have friends over unless it's the weekends, and you're not going to have, they're allowed only over for like 2 hours or whatever. Otherwise, you go to their place or whatever. I was real strict. It's
so interesting. Like I grew up very like, not like that. And my parents were like, just make sure you're home before
you had the
it's
classic
like
Australian
very dark
lifestyle, right?
Yeah. Like we could like leave, and as long as we were back in a vague amount of time, and like even when we did come back late, like they were mad, but like it was only the level of mad. We were like, I could just do it.
I used to go to my friend's place, and my mom would be like, I'm going to exactly pick you up at 2 hours time.
That's like, was she?
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh, she.
What? Like what? What was she worried that you were going to like attack the family? What?
I don't know. I just think that maybe she was thinking I was going to get too influenced. Little did she know, I just really
too influenced with people.
It doesn't matter. I was just a young me just cashed in 2 hours hard, bro. I was hard, like
or either like you're at a friend's house and they just like want to sit down and watch a movie, and you're like, no, we've got an agenda. We're gonna
it's like, do you want food? No.
We're gonna play games. Bring out all your snacks. Go.
Gang comes with that like a hit list.
What's that? You bought lightsabers? We're bringing them out. Let's go.
I want everything now.
He's holding a PlayStation controller while wearing a Star Wars helmet and a lightsaber, and then also eating a snack at the same time.
You're actually pretty close. I used to wear like the Hulk gloves while wearing fucking Star Wars lightsaber while wearing Hulk gloves.
What's all right? I'll give you a minute to do it. But what's the most embarrassing like thing you did as a kid? Like just on a regular thing, not like a single off thing.
So many stuff, as a child.
I got two real embarrassing things that I held onto as a kid. Right, number one.
You go first.
I used to have Stormtrooper shoes
Yeah.
that had Velcro closures.
That's cool.
Like instead of laces. And I wore them till I was probably like year 4 or 5.
Nah, that's cool, bro.
Cool.
And
Young
then-
me wore Crocs everywhere, and people used to give me shit. And now Crocs are popular. Now you wear Crocs, you're cool.
I don't even wear. I didn't have Crocs then.
Yeah, Crocs didn't exist for us as kids.
Nah, there was Crocs around for me.
No, they were in that movie Idiocracy, and they put them in Idiocracy. The Crocs. The people who did the costume design for Idiocracy said, I want you to go find out clothes that people look like they'd be stupid wearing because it's going to look like it in the future, right? So the people in Idiocracy wore Crocs, and then like 10 years later.
Ooh, no,
people
I know
were wearing
probably
them.
what the most stupid thing I've done was a kid, though. I climbed the cubicle door of a bathroom and peed another kid once.
What?
What the fuck?
That's not embarrassing.
That's just, what the fuck?
We're saving that for-
You committed a felony.
We're saving that one for episode 21.
All right.
Water sports, episode 21. Come at me.
And then new music.
I was a very rowdy kid because of a lot of reasons.
Because
but
your parents
we don't-
trapped you in a
I don't
house.
need to start talking about childhood trauma on a podcast, boys. We can talk about this on a different episode. We can have a special Kang talks about his childhood
Therapy
reasons.
with William Kangadani.
Special
Listen,
episode only available on Patreon exclusive.
I actually think that everyone is kind of broken. And the secret is that people just get different ways of managing it.
Yeah, like tonight, I drank an entire bottle of wine and 2 beers.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We've all done stupid things as a child.
I ate a packet of M&Ms.
Yeah, and
you
you
were a
and
kid?
half a bag of gloved ramens.
I just ate like 3 of them. Three pieces of that ramen thing.
We
right.
got ramen twisties in. Not
Oh
a fan of
my
what you
God.
will him.
What was your embarrassing thing as a kid?
I don't know. That's
He was
I
an
fell,
ideal
I fell
student.
down, probably. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Wait.
Probably.
Wow.
What is he
I
talking about?
was riding a bike, and then a friend called me in the field, and I slammed the brakes, and I slammed the wrong side of the brakes. I slammed the front
yes.
front brakes,
Yeah.
because like it used to be like V brakes, right?
Yeah.
You remember V brakes? And then I flipped.
You flipped the car?
I flipped the car, the bike, the
bike.
Oh, the bike.
and then I felt like I flipped, and I was thrown out of my bike, and then I landed, right? Oh, I was like, oh, it hurts, and then like, where's the bike? The bike came after, so the bike flew as well. So it's like landed on me.
No, that's a
I was
funny
like,
story.
oh my
Yeah.
god! And then I came home like full blood on my face.
Do you know what this reminds me of? This
It
is
fucked you up.
oh wow, you hit hard, man.
Yeah, so I have like stitches here and like a couple of stitches.
Really?
Yeah, like you see, like there's a bolt spot here.
William's pointing to his skull.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a hard tangent. But this reminds me of there's a famous clip. I don't know how famous it is, but in Australian culture, maybe WA culture, we had a news station where the newscasters were casting outside of a Bunnings, and some kid rides his bike from behind the scenes.
Oh, I know what you're talking
and
about.
he hits a rock or something, and he slips off his bike, and he completely nuts himself on the bike on live TV in front of everyone. You watch this kid's soul leave his body as just on live TV. He's like,
The best version of this is there's a guy in America and he's doing a news report and it's like during like a
Yeah.
windstorm kind of thing, and while he's talking, a plastic bag flies and hits him in the middle of the face. Have you seen this?
No,
Oh,
gotta watch it.
I'll
Put it up on
I'll put it
Instagram.
on this Instagram.
so no
But
matter how bad your
it's
fall
so
was, William,
funny.
at least it wasn't in front of national television.
No.
I have a very similar story to your bike story, right? So when I was young, I worked at Woolworths and I got paid $6.26 an hour, right? So I was
Bank.
I was working at the grocery department, and
High roller over here.
what I would use it. I would save up enough money to buy a carton of Ted's 9.5 beers, and that's what we drink for the weekend, right? Because I was like, I looked like an old ass man when I was like 15.
You were definitely 19.
Yeah, 100%. And anyway, other than buying beer, I saved up all my other friends, like my mate Ben and Todd and Liam and a few other boys like Connor. They would all ride bikes around. And I was like a fucking nerd. Big fucking nerd. I just wanted to play video games and Warhammer and whatever. But these guys were like way cooler than me. They'd do way cooler things. So they all rode bikes. So I've saved up my $6.26 an hour to buy. I bought a white Huffy from the
What is a white Huffy?
Oh, like a Huffy is like a brand of bike. It was a BMX bike. So it was like you could do stunts and stuff on it. It was like, but it was all
Every
white.
kid back then had like a Huffy.
White leather seat. It was fucking gas, boys. Gas. Anyway, the first day I get my bike, I'm so excited. I ride it up to Connor's. Connor's like a neighbor of mine, and he comes to the club, and I'm like, look at my sick bike. And he's like, that's a sick bike. Anyway, we go over with my mates, and we take it to our mates. We're like, all right, there's this there, we go there. It's just a fucking sick bike. Anyway, we go for a ride, and they would go to other places. My other mates, I definitely didn't do this at this age. 100% never did it. But they would go smoke not tobacco in other places.
They would
right?
read the Bible.
Yeah, they would go read the Bible somewhere. So we'd go to this underpass that was under a road, and it was like caged off or like fenced off, but you could like get in there. So we were riding there, and I'm crossing Marmin, which is a big street that goes like up near where we lived in Queens Rocks, and in the middle was a big it's like a boulevard, so it's got a big medium strip in the middle with a big curb. And they all ride over the curb, and they're hell cool, regular bike riding guys. Nice. So they like jump over the curb and onto the medium strip.
Sick BMX tricks.
Yeah, they do the BMX thing, and then they ride across it and go to the next bit. And I was like, I can do this. And I've never done this before. So I like bunny hop up, and I instead of like going over the curb, I hit the curb, and the front wheel hits the curb, and I fully flip forward over the handlebars all the way over and land in the like black dirt of the like in the middle of the like a medium strip, right? And it's like black dirt with like trees and stuff in there, but it's like that black dirt. And I've got this white Huffy with white leather seats. I scratch up the fucking side of the Huffy. The leather white seat gets like everything's covered in black dirt now, like dusty dirt. I'm covered in dirt. My face is covered in dirt. For some reason, I'm wearing blue long like bell-bottom jeans with skate shoes and a black Bond's wife beater. So I'm like,
that was the fashion of the 2000s.
and
everyone just looked like Eminem.
And a big white belt, right? And I'm covered in like black dirt. My face is covered in dirt. My white Huffy's all scratched up, and the leather seat's been like had a bit of a chunk of foam taken out of it. And I get up and I ride. They not even noticed that
that's devastating.
Not even noticed that I've stacked it on the thing. So they didn't even get the comedic of me crashing my bike. They just see me catch up with them, and I'm covered in dirt, like just like sweaty, like they've gone down there, and they're like, I'm just like, this is in the early stages
what
of
was your excuse?
Hanging out with them, and they were just like, they all looked at me, and nobody even said anything, and I was like, oh,
oh man,
it's okay, now you're the coolest boy in town.
But I was like, it's such a core memory of like, just never try anything. Just be okay with not being a bike guy. That's really what it was.
But now all the bike kids are now just scooter kids.
It's true.
No, not scooter, like the electric scooter.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. The electric scooters kids are everywhere now.
Yeah.
Remember when electric scooters were lame?
Yes. My kid hangs around with a bunch of other kids, and like 17 of them have electric scooters, and they just like electric scooter places. I'm like, what a nightmare. What a true nightmare.
We're approaching 2 hours, gentlemen. Let's call it. This is a long one.
Are you guys going to play a game of Commander with me before you go home, or what?
No, I'm going home, bro.
This has been a fun one. Episode 20, man. Let's
20 is pretty crazy, lads. I want to thank you, William. Thank you, William. Thank you. Thank you.
We're shaking hands. Trifecta shaking hands.
For something that's not on video, that's ridiculous.
It's all right. We did it.
20 is impressive, and I want to thank you, lads.
And I'm still having fun. I'm having a lot of fun. I feel like every time we come in, we have new conversation topics, whether or not they are hobby related. I think we've given up. It doesn't matter. We mentioned
magic at least once today, right?
Listen, if you stuck through us, from episode 1 to episode 20,
thank you.
Thank you very much. And
thank you to Imperial Numismatics.
Ellen mentioned, I was talking to Ellen earlier this week, and she said that her father, Francois, who's like a member of the community, he started listening, and she said that he was listening from episode 1 all the way through. And I'm like, well, that's a fucking joke. That's so much of me just talking shit out of my ass.
What a champ.
So thank you very much.
Welcome. And once again, thank you to Colm for signing up to our Patreon. What a legend. Added into our group chat, being an excellent community member, and allowing me to drink his beers.
And thank you to Imperial Numismatics.
Thank you for everyone who listens and sticks around. We appreciate it. Really, truly.
And thank you to you boys. I actually genuinely look forward to this every week so much. Like, I just wish by a time and we're doing it on a Thursday, by the time a Tuesday rolls around, I wish we had an episode, like another one, you know what I mean? And I'm like hanging out for it. So keen.
Sign up for our Patreon again.
And if I did everything correctly, there should be an outro tune as well.
I'm keen.
Someone to play us out.
I'm keen to listen to this song as well.
Yeah.
All right.
It's going to be out in 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
See you in 3 hours, guys.
See you guys in episode 21.
Yeah.
Cue the outro song.